Cool. I think we're live. So as per usual, just gonna make sure that thumbnails are in order. Not only that, gonna make sure we share this across Twitter, across Telegram, and then we'll be good to go. But get your questions in the chat. Good to see everyone. Hexponential, Nathan Heaton, Bart Bruno, Hex Salty Boy, welcome in. We'll wait until we have a few more people, get everything situated like I said, and then we'll be ready to rock. So bear with me here while we take care of these logistics and start dropping your comments, questions in the chat. Good to see everyone. It's been a minute. I missed you guys. Here, give me a second, please. Get that thumbnail. Awesome. Cool, we got the thumbnail. Now I'm going to share this across Telegram and Twitter, which, by the way, we crossed 1,000 members in the Telegram chat. So go ahead and hop in there if you haven't yet. It's t.me/lookintohex. We have about almost 1,200 people in there as of right now. 231 people online as we speak. I am proud to say that it's gotten to the point where I can't keep up. And it's like a bittersweet moment, right? Where I remember when there were just a few hundred people and I could respond to literally everyone with like 15, 30 minutes a day. But at this point, it's like there are hundreds of tags I have that I haven't responded to, which I'll get to when I can, but it's really cool. So you guys like go ahead and talk to each other in there, respond to each other's questions. It's all about community. So go ahead and there, just share the link. I'll share my screen shortly. And I'm just going to get on Twitter and then we'll be good to go. We should try to hit a record in terms of how long it takes to get a stream situated. But fun fact, we're also on Twitch right now. Twitch.tv/Gerardog, GERAWRDOG. Link in the description to that as well. Finally upgraded StreamYard. So we're multi-streaming now, multi-platform on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. But let me get to these. Let me get to this chat real quick. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. I've been waiting for this one. Nice. What's up? What's up, everyone? Good to see. Show some need some positivity. I mean, yeah, this is a buying opportunity. We'll get into the details soon. Obviously, not financial advice here, and we have a lot to talk about, right? Jason Harden buying the dip, good stuff. Good stuff. We have people saying buy the dip, right? People know what's up in here, right? People know what's up. Diamond hands, nice. Cool. Hand holding my onboards. Yeah, I'm kind of here for that too, right? Because you guys might need some of that. Thanks for your follow on Twitter. Incoming from Twitch. Hey, anytime landlord, epic dip for Hex. Yup. I am buying. Nice. All right, cool. So yeah, let's get into some of these. I guess no questions, just everyone saying what's up. That's cool. So I'll get into a little bit of the, I guess, TA I had ready for y'all. But let's go ahead and hide this so you guys can see my face and the charts. All right, cool. Such a great opportunity for new people to Hex. All right, this is such a different type of local top than we've seen, which it explains a little bit, in my opinion, why potentially people are, I guess, crying more about this dip. I saw Richard tweet something like, is this just a crybaby bunch? And my theory, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I miss you guys too. I missed y'all too. What I'm saying here is, look, usually on our local tops, we have just quick, high volatility tops. Like, look at this. You don't really get, people don't really have time to get trapped in these higher prices, right? Same as over here, right? A quick dump. So it's only a few days where people have the chance to get trapped at these all-time highs prior to, say, a dip, right? Same with over here, just a few days chance. You see almost a V top, right? We're used to these sort of V tops. And that's why this one threw a lot of people for a loop, because it went sideways, and I would call this a low volatility top or a distribution top. So that's pretty interesting because it gave people more time to get trapped at these higher prices. And so that's sort of my theory as to why people are complaining a bit more than usual, is because they had the chance. Oh, battery exhausted. Yeah, this battery has been giving me a little bit of trouble lately. So I guess we'll have to do a batteryless, cameraless stream. Sorry about that. We're going anon, right? But that's all right. Yeah, it's all right. So yeah, let's cover that right there. Yeah, it's too bad. Let's charge this bad boy real quick. But what I was saying was, here, give me a second. One second. Go. All right. Yeah, what I was saying here before I was interrupted by the camera was the fact that people had the chance to get trapped up here, right? At the 36, 42, 48 cent level. And so this sort of trapdoor waterfall type move recently from 36 cents down to like a low of about 22 cents, that's pretty dang low, was unexpected for a lot of people. But let's see what the chat says right now. What's up? We missed you. The TA hoodie, nice. Why capitulation? It's just people selling, man. Amazing times right now. Buy like you've never bought before. Been watching you for 4 months. Nice. Appreciate you. Watching since 400 followers. Appreciate it. Let's get it. Good buying price. What's the reason for the dump? Pulse chain? Just more sellers than buyers. That's literally it. Will it drop lower? I have no clue. So we have a few indicators, right? Yeah, welcome to the live stream, Optimist Kevtron. So we have a few things I guess we can talk about, right? Like we had our waterfall. Let's see. If we place a horizontal ray at this previous top, this is what you would expect, right? And it's different across different exchanges. On Hit BTC, 19.8 cents. If you look at something like Uniswap V1, it clocks it in at 21.4 cents. So you could argue we actually tested this, which is textbook, right? Previous resistance turned support. But as you can see here with these dips I've plotted here, this is absolutely nothing new. Someone here in the chat says, by the way, I got the LookIntoHex hoodie and it fits great. You know, these fit amazingly, right? I'm glad you got the right size because they are super comfy. I wear mine literally as pretty often, right? More often than wear other clothes. But yeah, super warm. Check yours out, lookintohex.shop. Quick little plug right there. But let's look at these dips, man. We've had dips in the past, and the one we're currently undergoing is actually one of the smallest. And we can go back in time just to kind of get an idea that our post-launch dip was 81.22%, bringing us down to our all-time low of, sheesh, this is really low, a 20,000th of a dollar on January 5th, 2020. Then we had this interesting little ascending triangle. It's low, very illiquid market at the time. So these formations are going to be kind of different, right? They become more textbook over time as liquidity increases. But we had an 81% dip. Huge, absolutely huge. Ran up. We ran up to the point where the people who bought in day one on the AA were almost still about, right? Because this actually doesn't factor in that price, AA price. This just factors in once we're traded on the open market. So we ran up, we became profitable for the guys who, you know, entered on the first day of the open market, I guess you can argue, or any time after that. This was an all-time high. We had a 72% dip, huge. And then we had this 50x run up If you guys remember that, you guys are OGs back from 2020, March, after our March 2020 capitulation where we ran up. This almost looked kind of bearish, to be honest, because we had some bearish divergence, but then some whales came in, chucked in 10,000 ether, which at the time was like $1 million because ether was about $100 or so at the time, just doubled price, which increased bullish sentiment and had it rallying even harder. Fun fact, this over here was one of my first entries into HEX. And then we had sort of a little 2x, which you might have been able to actually call, right? Project, because there's a short-term ascending triangle here if you zoom in. But after that local top, we had a 58% dip, run up, 67% dip, huge run up right here, pre-big payday. This year's a fundamental event similar to launch. So I would argue that the reason that this post-launch dip and this post-big payday dip were so large, and actually the largest of the set of dips that we've seen historically, is because these were fundamental events where over here you could say the demand projected on day one wasn't correct, right? Because double the supply relative to the rest of the days was available in the adoption amplifier. This is just terminology, kind of launch, HEX launch terminology, where it just wasn't projected correctly. And we actually had about 10x or 20x the demand on day one relative to the subsequent weeks, meaning it was front loaded, right? The demand was front loaded and we had our dip. So 81% here. Over here, big payday, we had a bunch of coins come into the market, be minted due to this big payday event. It was about a 30 or 40% inflation on the day, I believe. It's close to that, if not that. And so we had, again, an 80+% dip. Everything else has been smaller, right? We're talking 67, 58, 54, 70. And recently, if we measure the dip, the totality of this dip from the all-time high wick to the bottoming wick where we are now, it's about 56%. So it's not the biggest, but it's not the smallest, right? Because the smallest we've seen is 32%, this tiny dip. And the biggest, obviously, 86. So it's somewhere in the middle. And it doesn't surprise me personally. I don't know if it surprises you. If it does, you might be new to HEX, or you might just be new to crypto. And that's okay, right? I'm not the type to sit here and say, like, make you feel bad for not understanding. But the point is, you probably should start understanding that this is a very volatile market. And so whenever I say things like, this is not financial advice, this is just for your entertainment, I'm not just saying it as a disclaimer. I'm saying it because it's true, because I don't know what's going to happen, clearly, right? And I'll admit when my calls, quote unquote, are wrong. This here was looking to me like a textbook bullish bull flag formation with a high probability of moving to the upside. But as we know, in probability, there is not certainty. So there was a high probability, but guess what? It broke to the downside. And this now presents us with the reality of the fact that some people are, quote unquote, trapped who got in here. But this leads me to want to look at something like our moving ROI, which last time we checked it, I haven't updated it, which I should soon, but last I checked it, it said that the guys who are doing the best are the guys who've held for about a year. And it actually linearly decreased, where guys who've only held for 6 months are doing better than those who are only holding for 3 months, are doing better than those who are only holding for a month. So overall, you're not going to be profitable immediately. If we look at something like, let's say, our welcome in everyone, by the way. I've just been kind of talking here, but I see we have kind of filled up the room, which is really cool. But I wanted to actually bring this up, our maximum ROI, to highlight what I'm talking about with some visuals. Here we go. This here is our sort of ceiling function, right? And this tells us how long until we see new all-time highs. So let's actually do it over here. And reason I bring this up is because we've seen this before, right? We've seen people have to wait as long as, let's see, if they bought this top day 158 to day 316, That's almost 6 months, right? That's about 5 months. So that is the longest anyone who's bought a local top has had to wait before being bailed out by the HEX price to the point where they're actually profitable if they held or if they staked, right? And so that's interesting to see this move over here, day 330 to 480. Again, another about 5 months until we saw a significant break of previous all-time highs, this 1.5 cent region. Most recently, it's been much shorter. We've touched on this multiple times, anywhere from 24 days before seeing new all-time highs. 24 days over here, 36 days, about 40 days. And currently we are about 30 days. So we are on track, right? And so this is nothing new. This is arguably unexpected because I didn't expect it personally, honestly, just being frank with you. But it's not surprising, right? It's unexpected, but not surprising. So let's just catch up with the chat because I've been ignoring all for a bit. Excuse me. Yeah, go ahead and check out the stream on Twitch if you haven't already. Link in the description. Trying to get that ball rolling. Amazing. Let's catch up with this chat. Hit that like. Yes, appreciate it. Happy Monday. That's right. Happy Monday. Any news on Pulse? Not really. I mean, no. Last I heard, we wanted to hear some news about the airdrop code, right? Sacrifice code, airdropping appropriate balances, and then at that point, people would probably be able to check their sacrifice points. So I think that's the next step. But don't quote me on that. See. What's up? Inviting Freedom. Welcome in. We have some trolls in the chat. Nice crash. Sorry, I mean dip. I mean, this is relatively an average dip. This is not something we haven't seen before. Bouncing off the Elliott base channel. I'm not sure what that is, but that sounds cool. 20 cents incoming. I mean, we already tapped 21 cents, right? Loving this HEX sale. Right, like it's so interesting to me. You see people freaking out about Black Friday sales, and HEX right now is literally 50% off if you want to frame it that way. So you could argue this is becoming a buyer's market if it's not already. The only people who are actually complaining about these prices are people who have gotten in the last, let's see, like in the last month and a half, or people who are new to crypto, or just people who aren't buying, right? People who want to sell. So, I mean, if they want to sell at these prices, they can be our guest. Can someone here? I'm gonna block this user. We have a troll. I just blocked him. I can't handle that in the chat. Well, not that I can't handle it. I can't have it, right? One bad apple can definitely ruin stuff. Snapshot definitely not taken. Actually, I don't think so. I doubt it. My guess would be no. Got in HEX December 3rd, 2019. So day one, nice. Yeah, so day one, people know that they're, you're up. So literally, if you bought at any point in time before the last 1.5 months, and HEX is how old? Almost 2 years. So 90+% of time has been profitable. Big OG rotation, big sellers going out, new smaller buyers incoming. Potentially. Yeah, I haven't really done the chain analysis, but potentially. I can mod for you, says COTG. I do it from the majority of HEX channels. Sure. DM me on Telegram and just to remind me, and I'll add you later. For the snapshot, doesn't matter if hot or cold wallet. I don't think so. As long as you have access to your own keys, I think you should be fine. Hex has already done super good, done super well. Yeah, I mean, Hex has done really, really freaking well. Cool. Yeah, okay. So what else can we talk about here? Let's see. We've seen the size of these dips, and even still, from all-time low to all-time high, Hex has rallied 1,000,000%, basically 10,000x. Now, excuse me, what else is new? Well, there's something you should probably point out, and that is this RSI level. This is absolutely something to behold. Now, if you haven't noticed by now, I'll allow you another second to notice the fact that RSI right now is as low as it's ever been. Let's see, 27 level. Let's see, 28. There you go. So the only time we've been below this 28 level on the daily RSI, not even big payday, we didn't even go that low then, was just our post-launch dip back here. And it's slightly different on different exchanges. Like we don't even see that level on the RSI here on HIT BTC. And so this is literally the lowest RSI has ever been. It's pretty astounding in my opinion. So if you've been hoping for a hex dip, I mean, here it is. Here it is. Now, I wanted to bring up another sort of analysis, I guess you could say. Let me find it real quick. I think it was where was it? Over here? There we go. Okay, so this is clearly a very, very low RSI. Now, even though this is the lowest RSI has ever gone, I wanted to point out other times it's gone almost as low. Back here on our March capitulation, and then we had our 50x. Over here in August of 2020, reason I bring this one up, this one was a little interesting. We actually, on that low of the RSI, it didn't correspond to the low on price, right? We actually saw lower prices in the form of a bullish divergence over the course of what? A month. So bullish divergence, RSI price form over the course of a month. So what I'm trying to say is, look, it happened again over here, big payday. If you just look at candles, if you look at wicks, then it wasn't a bullish divergence. But if you just look at candles, it was on this, and it formed over the course of like a week. So what I'm trying to get at here is just because RSI is lowest it's ever been doesn't necessarily mean this is the bottom in price. Now, I'm not being bearish, just pointing things out as they've happened historically. So if we saw something similar, maybe you see, this dip play out, a bounce. Let's get this a different color so you guys can actually see. It's probably better. So what I was getting at was maybe we see bounce. We could potentially still see a lower low and then maybe a lower low. Whereas on RSI, maybe we see higher lows, right? And so this would correspond to bullish divergence, higher lows in the RSI, lower lows on price. And if it formed over the course of, anywhere from a week to a month, like we've seen, then I would be very, very bullish and say that could potentially be the bottom. Now, that might not play out. It might just be your typical recovery. All right, we might not even see a bullish divergence in the RSI, just pointing out two potential scenarios. But if this isn't the bottom, I would argue we're very, very close. So yeah, that was sort of the analysis there. The time in between these very, very cooled down points in time has been anywhere from 100 to 160 days. Between this low over here, again, this is about 30 on the RSI, 30 or lower, right? So the time in between both of these significant cool down periods, March 2020 to August 2020, was about 5 months. The next period took about 3 months, 3.5-ish. The next period, 5 months. And then this recent period has actually been the longest we've gone before seeing a significant cool down. So in retrospect, you could say this was due, right? Because price had just been rallying just insanely so. And you can see that being reflected by returning to certain key moving averages where we actually haven't tested our 100-day for a long time. Here, let's actually show you. And what did we do? We tested it and broke beneath it. We haven't had full candles break beneath it, but we are beneath it right now. So unless we can rally above 27 cents and close that in the next like 30 hours, then we will have closed candles beneath our 100-day MA, which we haven't seen since January of this year, right? Because these were all just wicks. This one didn't even go beneath it. So if it starts breaking beneath that moving average and staying there, then it will be analogous to these events back here, right? So our short-term moving averages, the ones we like to look at, like our 2021 day, obviously broke, right? We'd been following that for a while. That obviously broke. And then our 50-day obviously broke as well. Our 100-day is potentially support, potentially. And then let's see, what else can we look at? Well, let's see our 200-day, because we've only ever touched that in these two events back here. That's currently sitting at 16 cents. I don't think we'll go that low just because we already have structure there. But nothing is out of the cards, right? I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but just I do want you to notice this right here. Check it out. These candles right here. We had these candles form resistance, and then we had them form support here at around 17 cents. And so that's one of the reasons I don't think we're going to retest this. Next structure, you could say, on the chart is around over here, which again, you could argue we're already testing that right now, right? This sort of 22, 24 cent region. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that we were calling for the 12 to, during this region over here, sacrifice phase-ish time, we were calling for 24 to 60-ish cents. And funny enough, that's been our range for the last month and a half. So, we're just at the bottom of the range now. And just remember that just under 2 months ago, breaking into the 20-cent level was a huge deal, right? This rally, people were super euphoric, including myself, right? It's easy to normalize the absolute insane rallies that HEX has. But in retrospect, we hadn't even tested, for example, let's find our 20-week moving average. We hadn't tested that for months, I think. Here, let's get rid of all this. Yeah, look at that. This is your 20-week MA, 21-week EMA, which is, it's really a line in the sand for most markets, whether you're in a bull or a bear market. And look at that. We had some time beneath it, but when we decisively broke above it and held it as support early this year, we basically ran up and didn't test it all year long. And this was about 60% of a penny, rallied almost 100x from there, right? 80, 90x. And just finally testing our 20-day MA or 20-week MA, 21-week EMA for the first time in about, let's see, March to October, 7 months. So this was due. In retrospect, we are returning to our averages. People normalized these insane gains. And at the end of the day, this is healthy. This is healthy market structure. Last time we've seen this many consecutive red candles was back here, July 2020. Let's see what happened here. We had 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red candles, bringing us down a total of 66%. So what would that be today? It would be the 17-cent level. Again, that would be very, very low. And you've already seen the RSI be super cooled off on the daily. Now on the weekly, it's not at an all-time low, but it's quickly approaching, right? We've seen support here on the 50 level, actually in February. Saw some nice support on the 50 level in January. We're currently at 51, but we've also seen it go as low as 45 here last August, 46 here near big payday. So we're approaching all-time lows on weekly RSI. We are at all-time lows on daily RSI. This is one of the few times prices crossed beneath our 100-day MA. And this is one of the few times we've actually come down to test our 20-week MA as support. So this will be interesting. This will actually be really interesting because back here during our launch phase, we had our obvious huge run up. But when we came to test our 20-week MA region, we held it as resistance for a minute, found a little bit of support, great sign, rally, big payday fundamental event. We didn't hold it as support, but rather resistance. Once we broke above it, again, rally. Once we found it as support, and you could say this was a decisive support move, right? And an ABC correction, you could argue. We have tested a support once, little bounce, ABC, support twice. This could have been your cue, right? Not only that, it was great horizontal support from previous resistance we'd seen all year long, right? So if you can see that here, resistance, resistance, and then support, support, textbook support, it was off to the races. So this will be an interesting test because last time we tested it, we held it earlier this year. So if we hold it, because we're testing it now, clearly. So if we hold it, I would be very, very optimistic. If we don't hold it, historically speaking, how low have we gone beneath it? Let's see, we've gone, grab our magnet tool, 30% beneath purple. And what about this region over here? How low have we gone beneath it? When we don't hold it, about 60%, but that was a big payday event, 30% on these candles. So 30 to 60% beneath purple if we were to break beneath it. So again, that 17-cent level keeps seeming like worst case scenario. Now, if you want to go all doom and gloom and say, what if we had a big payday type dip, then you are looking at 7 cents. But if you look at the liquidity distribution on Uniswap V3, we have a ton of buy pressure at around the 6-cent level. So I would doubt that it would be there for more than maybe a few minutes, right, before it became a wick, maybe something like this. But yeah, that's your analysis, right? Like doomsday scenario, 10 to 17 cents. I doubt it's going to go that low because we're approaching a structure, right? We're approaching 20-week MA. We're approaching our previous top, our July top, and that gives me optimism, right? I'm talking about this top over here. And not only that, it's structure from back here, right? From this bullish engulfing on the daily. So yeah, go check out Jenkins, by the way. He has some really good short-term TA. He's been keeping you guys level-headed during this whole time, so I appreciate that. I did a live stream with him, which you guys absolutely loved. It blasted through like 10K views. Definitely gonna have to do one of those in the future. He's really good at that. TA and his calls have been spot on recently. And yeah, I appreciate him keeping you level-headed while I've been sort of MIA. But yeah, it was time to stream. This waterfall definitely calls for a live stream. And to say that, look, I'm not saying it has to bounce from here, but this is, just look at this. This is the lowest we've seen RSI since launch. Just let that sink in a little bit, right? This is the first time we've dipped beneath our 100-day MA since January. First time we've tested our 20-week MA. These are just the facts. Not only that, our risk metric has cooled down, which makes me want to look at our heat maps. When you zoom in, it kind of messes this up. But yeah, updated this yesterday, and things have cooled off a little bit. It's almost reminding me of this region over here where we approached green, but didn't quite reach it. Again, this was a big payday event, so it doesn't imply a dip this low. But our risk metric has definitely cooled down. You can see our extension heat map also has cooled it down back into the orange levels. Just wanted to point that out. Now, let's look at our regression rainbow classic. How far did we go? Well, look at that. We are testing yellow currently on our equidistant rainbow. And on Fibonacci, we tested it a while ago. So orange currently is at about 18 cents, which again converges with sort of my worst case scenario projection, maybe a bullish divergence down into the 20-cent level, this 17 to 20-cent level. But that would be kind of worst case, most bearish scenario, in my opinion, just my opinion. But this is a good time to talk about actual strategies. Let me first get back to the chat and then we'll talk about some strategies. Vitalik said HEX is a legit Ponzi. Can you source what video he said that on? I didn't know he called it that. That's kind of silly. Made it, better late than never. What's up, Red Squirrel? Red Squirrel is a great mod in the t.me/LookIntoHex chat. Great mod. Appreciate all your work. Just fully volunteered when the chat just started. Actually, we had like 10 members in there. He was like, let me be a mod. A few months later, we're like at 1,000+ members. So appreciate all the hard work, bro. I think you're a mod here as well. Freddie Quotes, what's up, bro? Killed it with that recent music video. That was crazy. Yeah, I'll give you a ban hammer. Just remind me at the end of at the stream. Cool. Yeah, let me see what I missed in the chat. Can we just enter a larger downtrend over multiple years? I mean, we could. We've never seen a HEX bear market last more than like a few months, but if this is something different, maybe. But we'll wait until the market starts doing something different before we start talking like that. I'd be upset if it went to 17, but I'd also be happy because I'd be getting more for my money. Yeah, so it's up to you if you're a buyer or a seller right now. People are silly. Oh, thanks for 9,000 subs, by the way. You guys are nuts. We're almost at 10K. Like, what? You guys did that so fast. I was thinking end of the year, and you guys are way faster, on track to destroy that. And then there are 500 of you right now in here. Appreciate every single one of you. Just sit back and enjoy the ride, says Dimitri. I will second that statement. I approve that statement. Thank you. Thank you, Gerardo, for your time and valuable info. You are appreciated. You two are appreciated, Hexy Texan, as are the other 493 of you. LOL, Vitalik talking smack about Hex and ETH fees are 300 Gwei right now. That's ironic, right? Thank you for your insights. Hey, anytime, hit that like, y'all. Yes, sir. Hit that like. Yeah, so let's see. What were we talking about here is having a plan, right? Yo, this dip is fine. Not even 60%. Yeah, people are just impatient, right? People are impatient. So having a plan, this could be important. So there is this method known as dollar cost averaging, and you guys are probably familiar with this. And you can do it simple. You can do a simple strategy of dollar cost averaging and just, every paycheck, for example, just throw an amount in, some percentage, and then just call it a day, call it a month. There are other ways you can do it. You can allocate depending on where you are on a chart. So you could allocate depending on where you are on, say, the risk metric or the regression rainbow, etc. But the only reason I bring that up is because we're hitting yellow. So if you were the type of person to say wants to dynamically average, and let's say that you have some capital to allocate, right? And let's say of that capital you have to allocate, you want to put in the most if we were ever to touch red. And so let's say your prince or let's say capital, right? So capital C, this is however much money you have. whether it's $1,000, $100, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever, right? Whatever your situation may be, you have some capital to allocate. Maybe you allocate 20% in yellow, right? Maybe you allocate 20%. If we reach these yellow bands, maybe you allocate 30% of that if we reach orange. And in the event of a capitulation to red, whether now or in the future, and remember that this is constantly increasing, if we were to ever see a capitulation to red, then maybe you throw in 50% of your capital of your C. So you throw in 0.2C, 0.3C, and 0.5C here. And maybe on green, you do absolutely nothing, right? Maybe this is where you just wait and see what happens. And maybe unless you're staking, right? Because I know I can already see the comments. This isn't a trading coin. You're not using it right. You're designed to stake. I understand that, but some people will attempt to play this game regardless of what you say, right? And so it's good to have a strategy if that is your game, so to speak. And so maybe selling 20% here, 30% here, and 50% here of your of whatever hex you are attempting to de-risk. And that's just if you are attempting to do that, because this is a very short term, sort of a short medium term strategy. Because if you are the type to say, you know what, I'm just gonna buy and hold for 5 years. If you're that type of person and say, I'm just gonna buy here and sell all the way over here, regardless of where we are, then that's also a strategy. And honestly, that person will probably outperform anyone trying to do this sort of silly stuff. But just to have a plan and say, you know what, maybe this dip is an opportunity to start scaling in if you don't already scale in, right? Only reason I bring that up is because obviously everyone has different strategies, and there may be some optimization to be had within those strategies, but to each their own. Not advice, just kind of pointing out what some people might do. So yeah, I mean, we're in yellow. Orange would be 17 cents. That would also be about a 60% dip. We're already at about a 50 something percent dip. I mean, this could be considered an opportunity. But let me get back to the chat. Or 500 of you. So let me see what's up in the chat. Do I still think 130 by end of the year? I put out a tweet saying if Hex isn't 137 by end of year, $1.37, I would delete my Twitter. I think that was a typo. I'm pretty sure I meant to say I would delete that tweet, but we'll see, right? We'll see what happens. This drop was expected. Can't moon forever. Dip is part of the game. Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, right? Or for those who are able to remain level-headed, then maybe it was expected. Another indicator which kind of, I hadn't realized this was a big deal, but it kind of became a big deal once I realized what happens. Now, I will point out that this liquidity dashboard is only available to those on lookintohex.com/VIP, but I'll share a little bit with you now of the update that I added to it. So I have to update the price here. It's at 2414. And you actually have to input ETH price 2 to make it fully work. So let me get the updated ETH price. 3724.2. Right. Yeah, so I updated this yesterday with the liquidity, how many coins in the V2 pools and the V3 pools. But this here, your bid and ask distribution was, it became important. I realized it's significant is what I'm trying to say, because there was a point where the ask, this red part of the pie chart, started overtaking the green. And I didn't share this publicly, and I actually didn't make a big deal out of it personally. I just saw it happening. And I think it was the first time I actually had this chart and saw Hex go through a dip. But what that tells me now, in retrospect, I'm seeing, because the majority of this was red, that meant that there was more ask pressure than bid support. And at the end of the day, this can be interpreted as similar to like a futures premium or discount. It was saying, hey, the spot price, if when red starts overtaking, it says the spot price is higher than the futures price. Again, this is just an analogy because obviously we don't have futures, but it's something we can read directly from Uniswap data analytics, right? It's a decentralized exchange. So this is data that typically only exchanges would have. And now we can have it, right? If you're again on the VIP list, then you have direct access to this. If not, you can actually build this for yourself. Again, all this data is public. Let me actually pull this up. Maybe I can update this live for you guys. That might be kind of fun. Let's see. We have our. Let me actually pull this up. Yeah. Check it out. So you have your HEX liquidity on Uniswap v3. And you also have your liquidity on v2. So let's do v2 first. We grab the USDC and the ETH pairs. Awesome. USDC, $22 million. Since it's symmetrical, we can literally just paste it into here. And it updates the coins, right? 45 million HEX or so, about 46 million HEX, 11 million USDC, about 45 million HEX, 11 million USDC. Cool. Do the HEX ETH pair, $4.4 million. Boom. Actually change this formatting, make it look all pretty. Awesome. And the V3 one is a little more nuanced, right? Because you don't have symmetrical liquidity. First of all, let's check this one's correct. 9.3 milli HEX, 600 ETH. Almost 3 million HEX, about 600 ETH. Cool. We can close that one. Awesome. Now on V3, again, we have both our USDC and our ETH pairs. The USDC first, about 59.73 million coins. It's a good number of coins. Over here, 59.73 million. And 16.35 million USDC. This is how I updated the liquidity dashboard in case you guys were curious. Now we do the ETH pair. We're almost done. 6.76 million ETH. Or excuse me, 6.76 million HEX. Big difference. And 267 ETH approximately. Cool. So now that all of that is updated, we can see that we have more bid support than ask pressure currently. Now we have a 4.4%, I guess you could say, premium on this analogy we use calling them futures. So I think it's interesting because, again, once the red started overtaking and was the majority, you have a futures price that's less than the spot price, meaning people are willing to pay more now than they are later, and that can't last for long, right? It's similar to a GBTC premium, where it's not going to last forever. Eventually, you're going to get a deficit, and it's going to be bear market time. But I like to see that this is green, right? As long as what I'm calling our bid-ask spread here, I should call this a premium, actually. Premium, as long as this premium is above 0, meaning our analogy futures price is more than our spot, then I think we should be good, right? I think price should, in theory, support nicely because we saw the opposite. Again, when red was overtaking, that was back here when we were in the 40 to 50 cent level. So you could have argued, hey, it's sort of like we have a deficit, right? Futures deficit, GBTC deficit, similar, analogous sort of metric there. Just wanted to point that one out. And we have all other sorts of metrics here where how much ROI left until $1 HEX, about 4x, assuming that's a deterministic projection or realistic projection. But yeah, we can see that this is a liquid market. We have $60 million of total liquidity, about 30 million on each side, ask and bid respectively. Have about 120 million coins in the market across both USDC and ETH pairs, across both V2 and V3. Obviously, majority of that is USDC, but we do have coins available for people to scoop them up at a 50% discount. But yeah, let me get back to the chat. 550 people. You guys are nuts. You guys probably sharing this, aren't you? Yeah, thanks for all the engagement, by the way. Smash that thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm and will help us get to what, 10K? Yeah, that's nuts. You guys are nuts. What's up, Crypto Panda? Good to see you. This looks like the Wyckoff Bitcoin chart. That's an interesting point, right? Like Bitcoin went to 60K, dropped 30K, and now it's back at 60K all-time highs. We see this weird anti-correlation with ETH and BTC. Wales only has really good charts on this showing how HEX is decorrelated from the rest of the market. So it's a really good hedge against traditional finance, which I'd argue Bitcoin has become traditional finance. And if you want to disagree, I guess fight me. But yeah, Bitcoin isn't cypherpunk anymore. I just don't think it is. Yeah, 550 people watching. Yeah, thanks everyone for being part of the community, being part of this live stream. It's been a minute since I've streamed or made a video. Goal is to start making daily videos again, right? I'm not promising that starting like tomorrow or whatever, but when I started making when I started the channel, I was making daily videos and I loved it, and I kind of want to get back into that. New end of year prediction, same, $2.77. What you guys don't understand is that this dip, in my opinion, it resets the market. It resets the market in a way where, guess what? The people who sold their coins here, they don't have any more coins to sell. Potentially, we have potentially wallets just being emptied, people selling all their coins, and if price starts running again, then they'll either have to buy back higher or just not buy the same number of coins and just be able to hurt the price less. So people who hurt the price, quote unquote, by selling, they can't hurt it anymore. They lose their ability to the more they sell, unless they're just an absolute whale with like hundreds and hundreds of millions of coins, which there are a few of those. But yeah, I guess time will tell how deep this dip will take us. But a lot of indicators are just oversold. RSI is vastly oversold. Clearly, we've only gone this low a few times, and these were local bottoms. So we'll leave it at that. Like, if anything, a dip like this makes it more likely to see a huge tear later, because a lot of people were saying this bull flag, like things were just too toppy. We saw the again, the deficit on our analogy for futures. It's like it needed to cool down, I guess, now in retrospect. So healthy market structure, retesting previous resistance as support. Beautiful retest, actually. Let's plot this again. I plotted this a few times on stream, but look at that. Textbook retest. Look at that. The wick. Oh my God. Is that actually that perfect? Look at that. That is crazy. This wick, nice bullish engulfing, nice wick to it. I mean, if anything, you could say, well, this bounce hasn't been too strong, but if anything, you could say we've seen low volatility tops and we've seen low volatility bottoms as well. So that's not to say, because I'm not seeing a V-shaped recovery, right? I'm not seeing something like big payday where you see like a 2x in a day or a matter of hours. This looks more like something like this, where you have your dip and then you have your low volatility reaccumulation bottom. And this took about a month, right? So again, just pointing out different scenarios. Just because we've potentially bottomed, if we have, it doesn't mean we're just going to go straight up from here. We've seen low volatility bottoms take as long as a month, so we could just kind of hang out for a bit in this region, maybe get a lot of people shaken out, scared, and then just go from there. Similar to what we saw with Bitcoin, right? We saw this dip. We kind of saw this bullish divergence on the RSI with sort of lower lows from like 30K to 29K, and then come back and retest all-time highs. So a bunch of different scenarios. we'll have to see what plays out. Again, these boxes are just the ranges that I've called back here when we were calling for 3 to 6 cents. That's this box. It became a relatively significant range. Over here, we were calling for 12 to 24 cents. This box became a relatively significant range, and the same with the 24 to 55 cent level. It's this box, and we've been range bound in the box for some time now, almost 2 months. Not quite though. But yeah, let's get back to the chat. Almost 600 of you. My predictions are off. Yeah, I mean they could be. Yeah, I could be completely wrong. But you only come here for entertainment. So yeah, I don't have a new end of year price. This is standard, correct? So the end of year price prediction I have with some group of people who are predicting, it's just a $25 bet for HEX hitting $2.77 by the end of the year. That's a separate bet from the one I made on Twitter. So those are two separate bets, just to make that clear. Buying HEX right now is equivalent to buying BTC at X. That's a good question. I mean, we only need to look at something like our HEX versus BTC to get an idea of what level that could be. So where we are now is similar to where Bitcoin was around over here. Probably around 50, probably around $50. Yeah, about $50. Then it rallied to about 200, crashed back down a little bit, rallied to about 1200, crashed to 200. So yeah, HEX price right now, if we look at ROI from launch model, is analogous to buying Bitcoin at like $50. So there could still be a 1000x to go or so. This is just long-term thinking, right? I'm not saying we're gonna 1000x tomorrow. I'm saying just look at the x-axis. This is in days, 1000 days, 2000 days, 3000 days, 4000 days. Even if HEX continues to outperform Bitcoin at 2x the speed, we're talking about, maybe another 1000x by this day over here, 2000, which is still, what is that, like 4 years away? So I would implore people to be patient and zoom out and look at, this is the dip that you're complaining about right here, right? We've seen bigger dips and we've seen many of them. We've seen about a dozen. I think we counted a dozen when we did this last. So this is number 12 and it's just business as usual, man. So I wouldn't trip too much or at all, really. And McDonald's paying 66 HEX per hour. That's funny. Yeah, if there's a troll in the chat, I apologize. Great TA. Hey, appreciate it, man. Like I'm just showing you details and data, and it's up to you to interpret what you're gonna do, right? Like you should not come to this channel to determine what you're gonna do financially. That's not the point of this channel. I'm just sharing data with you, sharing resources, so you can go and do your own analysis. So you can go and confirm this on your own charts. So you can go, if you're watching this video and saying, "Oh, I don't think he's doing that part right," like go do it yourself. I actually want you to go do it yourself and do better TA than me, right? Because if you're watching this, you can potentially do it better. Yeah, so definitely do your own due diligence, do your own research, and yeah, do whatever you want. Hey Gerardo, you're so good at charts. Any advice on how to get into it? I'd like to understand more in detail. I love math. I have a huge math background, engineering background, physics. Like I'm naturally good at it. I like it. And so those two things are very important in developing a skill. Maybe not the second, but getting better. Look at charts, right? Look at the Bitcoin chart. Try to find bull flags. Try to identify bear flags, divergences. You look at TA guys. Try not to get sucked into the furus that are doing TA, but look at fundamentals like what I was describing. If bid support outweighs ask pressure, generally a good sign. So just look up terms that might lead to more terms, and just go down the rabbit hole. But I wouldn't apply any of that knowledge immediately because again, trading is very risky. It's very dangerous. Most people lose. So just be careful. It's good to know. I'd say. I mean, I guess you could argue that, but it's fun to know. I guess I'll leave it there. But yeah, just use the internet. The internet's a beautiful thing. You can learn whatever you want on the internet. Last run up was insane. So 60% pump, I think you meant dump, is not bad at all. Right. Last run up was insane. We went from what, like 12 cents to 50 something cents. We had a nice 5x, almost 4 or 5x. Then a little haircut. No big deal. Route Paul says we can 100x from here before saturation. Is he talking about Hex? He's probably talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum. Pretty sure that dude doesn't like Hex. Bottom target could be in 21 cents potentially, I was thinking, but doomsday scenario like 17 cents. Hit the like. Yeah, I appreciate it. They're like almost 600 to you and only about 300 likes. So definitely help out with the algo right there. Get back to the chat. Do I do TA on other coins also? I mean, we could look at something like Ethereum or Bitcoin, I guess, if you want. Like, I think Ethereum looks pretty decent. But it could be a local top, so I'm not sure. But again, I don't think coins like Ethereum and Bitcoin can rally too much more. Like even if they do a 5 or 6x from here, I mean, we just saw that in the last HEX rally. So if the market cycle top for these blue chip coins like ETH and BTC, if the projection for their market cycle top is only about 3 to 6x away, I'd rather be in HEX because that usually can happen in a matter of weeks or months, as we've seen historically. Definitely some volatility, clearly, but time when you zoom out, the price and the gains are unparalleled. Someone says, time to be patient, says Arturo. I second that statement. This dude, Alex, always talking about, Gerardo, my cats love you. Hey, appreciate it, man. The data don't lie, and trolls eventually buy. And EHEX will still pump out yield. It's a great point. When you look at something like stakers versus non-stakers on our maximum ROI chart, you can see that clearly after staking, ROI is much better, right? You see the divergence of stakers running away from non-stakers. There you go. BTC ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. This could be another sell the news type event. Like we saw the top on the CME launch, futures launch, December 2017, 20K top. We saw the 65K top on the Coinbase IPO launch. And now we have a Bitcoin ETF, a date to. So whatever that specific date is, I'm not sure exactly when, but I would be careful if price rallies into that date and then you see weakness on that date, not huge follow through, then be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you for the great content and analysis, is Andre Ricardo. My pleasure, bro. Any idea when Pulse Chain will launch? Hopefully by end of the year. Hope so. ASAP. Can I take a course from you on how to do TA? I don't offer courses, but you can check out lookintohex.com/VIP if you want exclusive content, weekly exclusive content, private dashboard, and all that. Like the liquidity dashboard, for example. Bought the dip, feels good, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, Raul Paul was talking about total crypto market cap. Yeah, I mean, Crypto looks generally kind of good right now. I mean, ETH, BTC almost at all-time highs. HEX doing the usual decorrelated dips when everything else is rallying. We've seen this before, and then rallies while everything else is going sideways. Not saying it's going to happen again, but it has happened many times. Once we hit 22 cents, it got bought right back up to 25. Is that true? Yup, pretty much. Nice 12% bounce. The like button has been delicately and respectfully tapped. Nice. Just bought 1.264 million hex. DJ Pollywood. Congrats. That's a lot. Geez, isn't that like $300,000? Good stuff, man. That's quite the cop. Hex doing quite well since you started the live. Bottom is in. I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to make this live. Like, is the bottom in? Potentially. When I saw it hit 24, 23 cents, like, you know what? Yeah, no way in hell we're not live streaming right now. Like, sure, this scared off some people, but this currently now, this could be the bottom. No one knows. Obviously, no one knows. But price is down. Every indicator has reset, more or less. So 61% dip. There you go. We had it. We had our 62% Fibonacci dip. 61, 62. Came back down, tested previous local resistance. If this isn't the bottom, then soon, in my opinion, again, just my opinion. Do I think Hex will be worth $1 in next year's summer? Yeah, I do think so. Bitcoin looks like a strong uptrend. We can pull up Bitcoin in a sec. Yo, don't ask the same question like a million times or I'm gonna block you. Like, I'll see your question, chill. 25 cents. Yep. Remember when 25 cents was like a huge deal? I remember Maddie saying, I'm gonna get cornrows. And I'm pretty sure he did. He got cornrows at 25 cents. And that was a huge deal. And now it's like the worst thing in the world. People normalize the gains a little too quickly. People forget. Like, don't be a goldfish. Remember what happened a month ago? Looks clean for an upswing. Hammer candle on the weekly. Is it really? Let's see if it is a weekly hammer. Looks pretty good. Nice little wick. Probably looks better on something like this. Oh, what does weekly look like on Uniswap? Nice hammer, potentially. Sure. Either way, I like the wick retest of that previous top. Bunch of stakes, and recently we lost a shark. People took profit, and BTC holders are chasing the Bitcoin pump. This is all good. Yeah, I mean that sounds about right. Sounds about right. Smart money by the dips while boys are selling. Yeah, these kind of dips definitely sort out the grown-ups, right? I get paid Friday, keep dipping. Nice. 555 live viewers. Didn't David Feeder say possibly February launch for Pulse? Don't know. Maybe recent stream. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, the ETH guys would have had to wait until next July, right? They waited a whole year for their chain. So as long as we're live before July, I'm personally pretty stoked. Because forking ETH should be easier than building ETH for the first time. So 15-year price prediction. Oh God, based on TA, I don't know. 15 years. That's just too far out to be able to realistically say anything. Like if you're familiar with perturbation theory, which says it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Like if you change one little initial condition here and you let the system evolve over a long period of time, even small little alterations at the beginning in those initial conditions can vastly alter the outcome over the course of a long time when the system develops. So it's nearly impossible to give you a 15-year prediction. There's someone telling people to sell. I mean, don't listen to anyone telling you to do anything. There, done, simple. Out here blocking trolls. Patience. Nice. Not a hammer. Yeah, it doesn't look like a hammer necessarily, the weekly. Not yet anyways. It could turn into one, but not yet for sure. See, I had some notes here. We talked about risk metric, RSI, heat maps, distribution top, waiting for pulse. Yeah, I mean, do you guys have any more questions? I don't want to take too much of your time, but if you have some questions, definitely now's the time. When can we expect snapshot? I have no idea, man. Hopefully end of the year, before then, if not early next year. Worst case scenario, like spring of next year, but I doubt it would take that long. Gerardo, do you think we've bottomed out considering big stakes ending shortly? And unless most of those big stakes restake, 10 cents should be possible, right? It just depends, right? Go to t.me/hex trading, and those guys might know what the past behavior of these big wallets are. Like, do they usually restake? Do they usually sell? What do they usually hold? Because it's hard to tell what someone's gonna do, right? And it just depends on what they do. So they might restake. That'd be bullish. If they sold, obviously that'd be bearish. We'll see. So, like I said, maybe we see a bullish divergence on RSI, but that could mean we do see lower prices, right? Something like this, where we see higher lows, but we see lower lows on price. That's still a possibility. Just because RSI has cooled down doesn't mean that's the price bottom. But I would argue it's at least the beginning of a bottoming formation. So that's the cleanest I'll say that. Don't know if it's the bottom, but I'd argue it's at least the beginning of a bottoming formation. So I'm just gonna leave it there. G-Stream, the bottom is officially in. I'm not gonna, don't quote me on that. Please talk about Pulse. I mean, I played with the testnet. It was freaking fast, super fast. Sent some what did I send? I think I sent some hex on Pulse chain, so some test PX. And yeah, it was fast. It was easy, cheap, cost like a fraction of a pulse, 0.00000 something pulse. And then Pulse itself, assuming because of the unit bias, it's super cheap at the beginning, then in theory, gas fees are going to be virtually free, right? So that's amazing. Other than that, like if testnet is ready, mainnet is close. If you think about it, I'm sure some things need to be fine-tuned. Maybe some user interfaces we want to have ready to rock. Obviously, we want a go.hex.com interface to work on Pulse Chain. I saw Richard Hart say the fork can wait. We don't need to launch with the Uniswap V2 fork. We don't need to launch with a bridge. As long as we have the network, then the world's largest airdrop is enough of a pitch, right? It's enough of a value proposition to just launch and be able to do things on a new network, on a cheaper network. So no reason to hold that up for things like bridges or dexes. They can come later, and that gives optimism towards a sooner launch, right? If all we need is a functioning mainnet, then at this point, again, we just probably need to wait for some sacrifice code, the airdrop code, see that works, right? People have access to the coins, their balances are correct. So I want to see that be tested. Obviously, the user interface for Pulse staking, that will be really cool to see. I'm assuming you'll be able to see your options for validators. Say you want to delegate to this validator or to that one. So having a cool sort of social aspect to that, very clean interface, be able to connect that to, it's basically a dApp, right? So to build this dApp, we probably need some front end developer guys to build that. And other than that, let's see, Pulse staking interface, go.hex.com, sacrifice airdrop code. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm sure there are really nuanced technical things that need to be kinked out, and I'm not the guy for that. For that, you'd probably want to tap in with like David Feeder or some of the guys who are running nodes. I'm not really sure who is other than David right now or publicly mentioning it. But yeah, just those three things, and then I would assume that the network is ready to rock. So excited for Pulse for sure. Let me get back to some of your questions. 2-year price prediction, I don't know, man. Hopefully a few bucks. If not multiple dollars, like $10, $20, $30. 30-day price prediction, no clue. Hopefully we bounce, but again, we could just go flat for a month and we could be where we are now, or maybe just a little higher, like 30 cents. Or if we get an V-shaped recovery, maybe after bounce, dip, V-shape, then we might be much higher in a month. So it's really hard to tell if we're going to be where we are now or higher, but that would be my guess. We'll be where we are now, relatively speaking, roughly sideways or up. I don't see too much more down unless we literally bottom out in a month and, like I said, form a RSI bullish div with lower lows and then end up at like 18 cents. But that would be like worst case scenario. But yeah, 30 days is too short term to really be able to tell. Any plans on a live stream with Big Pep or Hodl Dog? With Hodl Dog, actually, with any plans on a live stream with Big Pep or Hodl Dog? I haven't talked to Big Pep, but that would be pretty cool. I know he's killing it here on YouTube. I know Hodl Dog's definitely killing it on YouTube, but I have some things to share with you guys, but I won't share them now. We'll leave that for a future stream. But good question. I really like streaming with the community, so I'll do some more of those soon for sure. This dip makes me even more bullish on Hex on Pulse. Let's shake out the weekends before Pulse launch. It's a really good point. There are less people able to dump PHEX, and yeah, that's a really good point. Will EHEX and PX need to balance out to find the same value over time post Pulse launch? Maybe. I mean, think about it. Let's say snapshot were right now or tomorrow, and you doubled your value and price found parity quickly. Then at that point, you basically have 50 cents again, right? And so that'd be kind of ironic, where your total value is where price was just a month ago. But no one really knows, man. No one knows what's going to happen to price on either chain. It's just up to the market at the end of the day. I don't know anything about the Ripple lawsuit, by the way. $2 in 2 years. That's very conservative, in my opinion. Hex Trading Group is a dumpster fire. I'd rather just watch Gerardo streams. Well, I appreciate it. I didn't know that just because I'm not in that group much. Maybe it's because Richard has promoted it so much that it loses its quality over time. It's too bad. But yeah, LookIntoHex is relatively fine still. We don't have too many trolls in there. Obviously, you're gonna have trolls, but yeah, t.me/LookIntoHex. Generally a really nice tenor in there. People are pretty kind in there. Let's see if there are any more questions. What are your thoughts on 100K addresses with $100 each in them? I'm not familiar with that. Maybe it was the Monarch wallet airdrop or something. I know some people were airdropped. Yeah, I remember Hex. There was a Hex airdrop that was I believe the first airdrop on L2 on layer 2 on Ethereum, and it was done to people with Monarch wallets, if they downloaded Monarch wallet, and I believe it was 100,000 people maybe. Not sure though. Those guys, it's a good question. I haven't looked into that, but that could be it. Where you buy Pulse? Well, you can't buy Pulse. There's no way to buy it right now. People have sacrificed to the sacrifice address. People who sacrificed back in July got the best rates. Currently, people are getting a worse and worse rate every day, leading to the argument that maybe you should just wait until mainnet launch. But obviously, people can do whatever they want. And so if you sacrifice now, I think you're sacrificing at a rate that's quickly approaching like half a penny, if not already more, anywhere between half a penny and a penny per PLS, which is about 100x more expensive than people, who got in July. So, and again, it's not available. It doesn't exist yet. So you're just really sacrificing for points. And if Pulse mainnet even launches at all, right, no expectations, then you would in theory have access to coins at a 1-to-1 rate with those points. But you can't buy it now. A lot of people would recommend waiting until mainnet launch. Probably might do that. Because sacrifice rate is absolutely terrible. Send the link to Kareem. I mean, I'd love to. I'm sure. I'm sure he'd love to hop on. Oh, is he trying to hop on? Yeah, he just messaged me actually. Send me a link so I can hop on the live stream for a bit. That'd be cool. For sure. Let me send it over. You guys want to get Kareem up in here? Yeah, let's share this link. Invite. Copy to clipboard. Let's see. Send it on over. Where are you at, bro? Let's send it over on Twitter, all right? Boom. All right. So Kareem, if you're in the chat, I just sent over the link on Twitter. Bang, bang. Let's fucking go. There we go. Yes, sir. All right. He's going to be in the chat shortly. Let me see if I can get my camera working. That'd be pretty cool. But he can keep you guys entertained for sure. We're eating the high from the inside as the noobs keep dropping like flies. Nice. Yeah, I didn't even realize Cream was in the chat. That's the beauty about Hex. The data is all there for the people to see on chain. Plebs get left behind while the stronger hands only get stronger, for sure. Good shit. There we go. We got him here in the. Here, let's add him to the stream.
Awesome. Quick. Can you hear me?
Hey, you there, bro?
That is dope. What's going on? What's going on? Good to be here. I wanted to hop on because I think this is such a key moment. You want to keep sharing? I wanted you to pull up some data and help me out because I want to show something for people in the chat. So I don't know which screen is you're seeing. Are they seeing both screen or just mine screen?
So what the audience can see right now is you, and then they can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yes, it's small because I'm on my phone. But okay, as long as they can see, that's the most important thing because this is such a critical moment. I wanted to hop on, and thanks for being live right now because this is literally moments like this. I've said in the chat, this is actually how I became a super shark in moments like this. For people who are looking at T-share count, looking at true accumulation, understanding that they will constantly be buying HEX at much higher prices, and you get a chance to have a discount like this, especially when you look at all the signs, like you have said earlier, being oversold. It's not just oversold, it's beyond any measure we have seen before, which is proof that it's just a little bit of panic, and that's sad because obviously some people run a little bit of FUD, and the new people, they don't know what's going on, and they are the one becoming, sadly, the liquidity, right? Being burned, emergency end stake. I mean, we saw a laundry list of that. And then also not understanding that the goal is not to trade because that's actually how you lose. instead of getting your T shares, being on the other side, collecting the money printers, collecting the emergency NSEC penalty. I mean, the payout's been stupid for the past couple of days. And I want to show on the chart, and if you can please go to go.hex.com, please, what actually the big wallets are doing. What one of my friends are doing. I'm getting messages, people smiling, bragging about, buying the dip, so to speak, even though, again, we have seen way worse than that. We have seen 80+%. But for the new people, I really want them to understand one very important function of the system, and why, besides what's going on with the severely oversold, we're still much, much higher than where we were before. So I don't know if you can go to go.hex for a second. When it shows the global stacks, like on go.hex.com.
Go.hex.com?
Yeah. I want to show something. This is just pure hex metrics.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, it's the mechanics, it's the plumbing. Guys in the chat, this is something you will not be able to see in the chart. And this is why hex is different. Yeah. You have to connect your wallet. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I'm not going to connect my wallet, but what?
No, any random. Oh, because I wanted to pull up just the data for the last 30 days, the total number of T share, because the moral of the story is this.
T shares.
The big wallets, for people who don't know, the big wallets are actually getting bigger and they're not moving. And go.hex.com tracks that total T-share count, what's been happening. Even that super shark that we lost, most people don't know. That was actually one of Trayvon James' contract from way back when.
Yeah.
That got blown up. So technically speaking, that wasn't even a real super shark. That was just like a pool.
Interesting.
That got blown up. And that's important because that shows. Because again, I don't know all of them, but I know a good number of them, right? And things like that. Now, this is actually how the little guy doesn't understand. That's actually how he loses, because the total T-share count is barely moving. It's trending towards the same 11 million. Now, quick math. Why is that important? That means as much as some people have ejected and T-shares have been ejected, more T-shares actually came in. And I need people to understand, more money actually came in because the share rate is different, which means less expensive T-share got out, more expensive T-shares got in, but the ratio stayed around 11 million, which means they had to bring more energy in order to maximize that, or obviously stake longer as well. But the point of the matter is those big wallets aren't moving. And you can see that directly from here, because it's just math, like you said, because I love math myself. For anybody that's new, the only time I will personally panic will be if all of a sudden, overnight, we'll start getting like fucking consistently 12 hex per T-share, 15 hex per T-share. This is when I will quote unquote panic. And here's why. I want to explain the math. Because the real wallet, the big long-term holder, will have to emergency end stake or eject or whatever you want to call it, which then will increase dramatically total circulating supply. I don't care if it's in OA addresses or not. It will increase dramatically total circulating supply of hex, which will increase the payout, of course. But then that will tell me, okay, now the flow is net negative. You understand? But nothing has changed. What's being exited is being compensated with the new people coming in. And I made a comment, I said on Twitter, we lost a few dolphin here and there. Hey, listen, I get it. Some people, they can only delay gratification for so long, right? That's what I said. The real show is going to be 5-7 years from now. Make no mistake. It's going to be like this, but times like 100x. Because all the accumulation payout, right? There's going to be people that's going to pay 50 million plus 100 million emergency end stake. You guys hear it first on Gerardo's stream. Kareem said it. 5-7 years from now, when people got $1 billion stakes, you're gonna get $100 million emergency end stake. It's going to happen because you can say you're diamond hands, and there's the real diamond hands. Make sense? So just by understanding the function of the system, which is something that we don't see in the chart, that's what I'm going to talk more tomorrow about. But the real wallets are not moving; they are accumulating. It's just sadly either the noobs or the people that fall to the flood that have been told X, Y, Z. Because the FUD guy, they know where to be seen. They go back to their hole when we're making new all-time high, right? But then when they see a little tiny dip, that's when they come out and start telling us the story, right? It's almost like an indicator, almost. We should make an indicator, right? When your friend that didn't listen randomly contact you, be like, hey, how you doing, right? That's an indicator right there.
Yeah. Even the opposite, because in that last run up, I had a bunch of
Mhm.
people who weren't interested in Hex for the first year or two, and then
Mhm.
around 42 cents, they started asking me how to get in, and I send them screenshots of messages that I've sent to them in the past,
Mhm.
like, and timestamping. Look, this is where price was when I told you it was like a third of a penny, or it was like 3 pennies, or like whatever, and it's
Yeah.
just like they're asking at 42 cents. So you could say, all right, maybe that was an indicator that things had to cool down for a bit on price, which we clearly saw recently. But like you said, this is just a transfer of wealth. It's
It really
from
is.
the impatient to the patient. And
Exactly.
you like to monitor whale activity a lot, which I find really interesting. It makes me
Because
want to create some whale indicators almost. Go ahead. I think you're muted, bro. I think you're muted, Kareem. Can you guys hear him, or did I lose him?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, you muted
Oh,
for
I'm
a
sorry. I
second.
thought I lost you for. Oh, Jesus. Did you lose me the past few minutes?
Yeah, for like 15 seconds.
Oh, my bad. Okay, you said I like monitor well activity. I said yes, I
Right.
do because right, I like to swim in my class, but more importantly, I look at it like who can I knock off or drop out in this class so I can gobble the system from the inside, right? Because again,
Interesting.
repetition, mother of all skills. X is a product, right? What the product does is pay the yield. So
No,
I
of course.
monitor what the big wallet that basically consume a lot of share
Yeah.
are doing because if they drop off, that means my portion gets bigger, right?
Of course. Of course.
Because that's mainly the game that I want to play. Because when you play that game and when you get this kind of level of daily payout, you're not worried about few pennies here and there fluctuation. And everybody can play this game. Again, it's about time in the market because they understand that they build it over time. That's why I monitor, and that's why I wanted to be on the stream because this is a pivotal moment to remind people. This is actually again how I became the super shark, how I missed the first 100x, but I was able to catch up because it's in dip
Yeah.
moment like that. Because in normal circumstances, if there is not this hype, this FUD plus, people chasing the Bitcoin narrative, right, for the
Huh.
ETF, which is gonna be a shit show tomorrow. I can't wait. People thought when you launch on an exchange, it's bad, right? Bad rumors, selling news.
Yeah.
On the biggest global stage of the world, that's
Right.
the CME. So every guy that has a lot of Bitcoin liquidity, what do you think they're gonna do? Because they will dump it on the people of the CME because that's the liquidity
Mm.
they need. Make sense?
Right. 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 Right.
Because
Right.
if they
Right.
were
Right.
to do it in the regular crypto stuff, they will just kill the market. Because we all know most of those exchanges just wash trading and garbage. They don't really have liquidity. It's all fake. So they're harnessing all those crypto to be ready to dump it. We have seen this movie again. We've seen
Yeah.
this before. We have seen it in 2017. And even after the run up, if there's a run up, because by the way, we still haven't had a new all time high yet, right? Let's
Right.
not forget
Right.
that. But let's pretend we do. We know what comes next. Ethereum's gonna run, and then we're gonna run harder. And if people understand and listen to what we talk about all the time, and you play chess, not checkers, this is the time for you to get your entry or to set up your T-shirt account if you haven't already. And let's not forget, we still haven't even had the snapshot yet. So there is no reason to panic. Those who panic are just the ones that either don't watch our streams, don't
Right.
understand, or better yet, are just like susceptible to other people's
It's
influence, for lack of a better term.
crazy because even if we do see a run up to say like $200,000 Bitcoin, we're talking about a 3x. Like
Yeah.
we saw a 5x in Hex literally in this move over here. So even like the most bullish market cycle top projections for BTC or ETH just can be outdone in a matter of weeks. And we've seen this sort of kind of macro crypto behavior where I can't remember when. I think it was earlier this year when ETH and BTC were tearing and Hex was just kind of going sideways for a while, and
Yep.
people were kind of complaining, like, "Oh, look at that! Like everything else is outperforming." And I think that was a
Yep.
point in time where Hex had actually transitioned to mainly USDC liquidity, so it wasn't riding the crypto rally as it kind of did in the past. But it was in
Exactly.
anticipation. It was LP's anticipation of a bear market in general crypto. But the point being that where was I going with this, man? Where was I going with this? Oh, we've seen this before, right? And then you just
Yep.
give it a few months, and then clearly Hex has outperformed pretty much everything.
Exactly.
Right. So
And those are the best time for accumulation too, because even if you look at the HEX to Ethereum pair, you get to see how it's severely oversold as well. Again, which to the point where even when I look on the DMI indicator, we have never seen that kind of selling pressure before. Even it's even higher now than what it was during the big payday phase in terms of just like the velocity, which tells me it's only panic. But then again, it's sad for the new guy that I care about. But for the old guy, it's actually bullish because that tells you you are very near capitulation zone. Because if it's a selling pressure that's greater than during the big payday phase and was still above 20 to 25 cents, that only tells you that from here, it's just going to bounce. Because again, HEX is different. It's on chain, like Will said. It's not wash trading. It's not fake, whatever. When those people are out, they're out, right? There's a reason why Wells got that picture when we start the slideshow. When they're done, they're done. They won't be able to get those HEX ever again, and they most likely will end up buying back higher because the liquidity is not going to change in terms of HEX time, right? And that's the sad part. I don't want people to fall victim of that. Those who obviously are here long term, the delayed gratification, right?
Of course. And this is actually a good time to point out that I believe you claim to have gotten in at this local top, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was let's talk about this for a second. Yeah, exactly. 6,000 for a penny after the Godwell pump. So I was buying all the way. And then look all the way to that W pattern that we had just before the run up for big payday. This is when like 401k money came in. This is when I scoop up like crazy. But I want people to remember the mindset. If you were to draw a measure move just for fun from that local top, 6,000 for a penny, right? All the way down to that W pattern just before the run up for big payday. What is that measure move? How much is down is it?
67%.
Exactly. And again, and some of the wicks, my account showed like negative 80%. It was crazy. But then again, I've done the math. I'm like, what? I can buy cheap t-shirts. I will do it. Because mind you, to put in perspective, even that negative 67%, it's nowhere near where that candle was when the Godwell came in, right? Because I remember watching that stream. I was thinking about getting into invest, and then he came in and crazy pumped the price. So although it's negative 66%, it's still not what it was when the beginning of the pump. But I was just so grateful to get cheap HEX, cheap t-shirts, which I locked in for 15 years. And the rest is history, right? And this is the same thing we're seeing right now. Because some people who are new, they were literally complaining, is this, that the price is too expensive, or the t-shirt is too expensive, or blah, 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 we're about to hit 10K, which we will very, very soon. Make no mistake. But now you have the ability not only to buy cheap, but buy cheap t-shirts that you can lock in for a longer period of time. So by the time your expiration comes in of your stake, this is going to be another blip in the chart. Because again, we have seen that movie before. This is how you can play catch up. And when everybody is running scare, you're getting free money because you're going to get all those emergency penalty as well.
Totally. No, 100%. Like this, the staking mechanism saves you from yourself pretty much, and from all of this volatility too. The reason I pointed this out is because you basically entered the market not only at a local top, but during the longest consolidation period ever, meaning you had to wait about 230 days before you saw actual lasting gains. Because sure, you were profitable up here, but then that didn't last too long. So I'm talking about above your entry and actually sustainably above your entry. You had to wait almost what's that, like 8 months. And currently,
but I got to point out too. Yes, it wasn't sustainable, but people need to understand during that phase, just like right now, the emergency penalty that we were getting was insane. It was insane. Because there's the run up for the big payday, and there's a lot of exit. We need to understand. They don't understand how important that is. All your daily payout, you don't realize it when the price is sideways or kind of trending down. But by the time the price just goes back to where it was last time you saw, your wealth exponentially grows.
That's a good point.
That's the message I want people not to don't understand. The real extra bonus in this game is expecting people to panic to the point where you're in position to capture it. And I've named it and I've called it many times before. I call it buying the dip while you're stake. Because if you've done your math There is no fear. This is why we do our show. This is why I love what you do as well, because we back it up by math. It's not opinion, right? Like we say, it's not
Right,
financial
right.
advice. It's mathematical advice. Because once you understand the math, everything else is just narrative. You're not worried about it. The dip comes in, you'll just buy more of the money printer that you know, because it's going to
Mhm.
keep yielding for you anyway.
Of course. That's a good point. And this reflects what you're talking about a little more, because even though I just said it took you 8 months to see lasting gains on the price chart, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
reflect what you're talking about, which is staking gains. And for example, T-share price was $60 more or
Yeah.
less when you bought, and then it actually saw lasting gains after about 5 months if you're a staker, whereas as a non-staker, you had to wait almost twice as long. So that kind of emphasizes your point, which is like, if you're staked, this is, you can mathematically see this is less of a dip, right? It's less of a
Yes.
dip than if you weren't. It's not even a 50% dip for stakers yet. Whereas for non-stakers, it's already 62%. Mind you, that's Fibonacci level. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of promising. We've seen 62% dips in the past, and
Absolutely.
that's not
And
even
one of the
far
added
from
feature for HEX, which is very powerful, is during the dip, the revenue, okay, let's talk like a business, right? The revenue of your emergency and stake penalty
right,
actually increases, which is why you want to be in position, because that's literally how,
right.
when we're talking about transfer of wealth, you're actually on the other side of the equation. This time around,
Yeah,
not the scammers, not the, the feds and all the other bullshit. You're the one getting the money. Because
right,
just like the contract said, you're getting paid for holding the price.
right, right.
And if there is quote quote panic, which is a joke, because obviously, it's just, but let's just say,
Yeah.
for sake of argument, for the guy that just got in, last month or whatever, maybe that might be a little
Mhm.
panic right now, which is basically me at that 6,000 for penny. Once you
Yeah.
understand that literally you're getting paid to keep your word, you're getting paid
Mhm.
to hold the price, and now you're getting paid even extra during quote quote rough times, it's
Mhm.
a no brainer. Because by the time those people run out of ammo, which they will very, very soon, it will just be another blip. But you're getting extra funds, extra reward you would have not otherwise get. Again, we've been trending 5.7, 5.8 payout per T-share very, very steadily for a while. And I would even argue, if you were to draw a chart for the, can you pull up the daily payout
Yeah, of
uh,
course.
chart of the HEX? I want to show something.
Right here.
It's very, very small, but my eye can see that. You can see how like it's a line, but it's kind of trending down a little bit. You see that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see
Because
it.
because the bond math is already kicking in. People don't understand. We
Elaborate.
were parabolic, then we're trending a little bit sideways, but we're
Mhm.
trending down. And again, I want to preface this. I like this because my goal is I want to bring more adoption. I want to grow the pie bigger. So I don't care so much about the hex per t-shirt going up. I care about the
Mhm.
price going up and
Mhm.
making the pie bigger. So I like it because it's a function of adoption, because that means more hex are being staked, which is why the total circulation supply goes lower, which is why the payout stays where it is. So we're getting a nice 30+%, but it's steady in a way where the big walls are all making a move. So for anybody
Mhm.
that's new, this is why Hex is so special and different. When you're in panic, this is the chart you want to look at to realize that nothing has changed. Fundamental hasn't changed. It's
Right.
getting stronger than ever. Every now and then, yes, you get those little spikes, which is basically a little panic here and there. This is why you
Yeah.
want to be in position and stake, because you never know when the spike is going to come. But you want to catch it, because when you catch it, it's the equivalent of like 2, 3 days worth of payout. You know what I mean?
Right. Definitely. And this is one of the main value propositions of Hex. It's
Exactly.
the fact that it's a yield producing asset. So it's similar to like a piece of real estate where people who are, let's say, landlords and gaining rent every month from their tenants, they're not going to panic sell their property if there's a
Exactly.
market crash, because they're getting that monthly revenue, which a lot of wealthy people like to do is they have a bunch of dormant capital and they're like, let's have this work for me. And so let's turn $1 million into a 5,000 per month revenue stream, however you want to do that, whether it's real estate or hex. But that's a great point. It's like, and a great analogy, because it frames it a bit better, where you're like, no, I wouldn't panic sell my piece of property. It makes zero sense. Just wait to get that equity later if you even care about that. But if you care about the monthly sort of passive income, which is the cornerstone of a lot of people's wealth, then you're pretty much good. Like you said, it's doing its job.
That
Yeah.
and this is really the key, because this is where having the knowledge and applying the knowledge is becoming the power, because you're not swayed because you've done the math, you know what's happening, therefore you're not in panic mode, and
Right.
therefore you recognize that this is actually a nice opportunity to buy more. Now, every now and then, right, this is what we call psychology or marketplace. The chart does what the chart does, because those are the people who are not stake. I can promise you that. Or
Right.
those are the people who didn't do their research. Because those who are stake or done their research, they don't let their emotion get the best of them, right? They apply wisdom, like I talked about. They don't try to be smart, they try to be wise.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't stake, even me, with my diamond hands, I don't know what would happen if there's a crazy smart. Maybe I'll be like, oh, some thoughts will come, oh, just do this and do no. But the fact that I'm staked, I am at peace. I don't have
Same.
to worry about that. I'm collecting the money, I'm getting paid every day. I already reprogrammed my brain to know, let my emotion get the best of me, because this is why the Wall Street cheat sheet chart is so famous, because
Mm,
human psychology hasn't changed, right? Unless you're not a human anymore, but your emotion is always going to be your emotion. So when you have a
yeah.
tool that allow you not to be swayed by your emotion and let your emotion work against you, because you have to learn how to be a contrarian to be able to benefit during those times. One of the best tools we have is being staked. One of the another best tool we have
Mhm.
is to do the math, to understand
Right.
the long-term proposition while you're here. Because if you follow those two things and you understand what we always say, well, hey, if you leave off the interest and never sell the principal, the price is truly irrelevant, because everything you generate is net profit, irrespective of price,
It's true.
which then allows you to use the system the way it's supposed to be used. And this is the function of our education and the work that we have done. It's
Hmm.
just that lately, yes, we have had a lot of new people,
Yeah.
and truth to be told, they haven't been here long enough. They haven't watched a lot of our streams yet. So some of it is on them. Some of it is, knowledge takes time. As much as we want to teach people, they got to
Yeah.
be here long enough to be learned, right?
Yeah. Of
And
course.
they didn't get the chance to learn. And now, unfortunately, they become the red candle in the chart because they're in panic mode, right?
Yeah.
Even though they're going to realize later that there is nothing to panic about. But hopefully they will learn from it. But I'm hoping when I go on this live stream is that
Hmm.
some of those new people are watching, so they understand that it's totally normal. There's nothing to fear. Understand the product, ask questions, stake it, so you don't let your emotion make the best of you.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up your experience of buying on this local top, because I'm sure a lot of people that are new can, whoever got in at this region can relate to your story. And at this point in time, if you had accumulated when Kareem got in, you'd be up like 100x or more if
Exactly.
you're staked. So just to put in retrospect, like even charts like my moving ROI show that guys who wait a year outperform guys who wait 6 months, outperform the 3 month guys and down to the 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a clear, longer, longer
Yes.
holding yields better ROI just in the math. But I don't know if you were here during the beginning of the stream, but I pointed out how maybe a lot of people are complaining because this is sort of a different top than we've seen. This is a little more of a low volatility top, and it gave more people the chance to get trapped, in my opinion, as
Yeah.
opposed to something like this where you have a wick. You don't really get the chance to get trapped for more than a few days at these higher prices. But even
Mm-hmm.
then, generally you're bailed out in 3 to 6 months, depending on if you're
Yes.
staked or
I think
not.
it's a combination of
So
factor. This is why I
yeah,
like the Hex ETH chart for this, what you're talking
yeah,
about, because you paint a bigger story. I think it wasn't so much of a top or distribution pattern. It's just some people were exiting normally
yeah,
and more people were entering, and they were just compensating. But it just got to a point where the rubber break, where there's
yeah.
more people selling and some of them were just the new people that get in than the
Mhm.
people that were before. So that's why it tricked that. Because when you look at the Hex ETH, like, look, it's severely, severely oversold, which is kind of like
Right.
a cool off, which means the next bounce. You see, if you were to draw a trend line from those just higher lows, you can see where it's on trajectory for a bounce. But and that's important because of most people that enters Hex are doing through Ethereum, right? Obviously,
Interesting.
some of it that buy to Coinbase or whatever, they'll use the USDT. But this is
Yeah.
just to show that you combine the panic, you combine the people chasing the ETF story, which by the end of the week is probably just going to cool itself down. And
Yeah.
tomorrow there's going to be some shenanigans, that's for sure. Then they're going to come back in and rotate. So this is why it created this circumstance, because it's nothing new. Because if people leave off the interest and never sell the principal, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually a balanced system. New guy
Right.
comes in, buys from the old guy that takes some profit, so he provides the liquidity, right? So
Right.
the price doesn't go too much too fast for the new guy that want to buy at a relatively low price. But
Mm-hmm.
then when it gets to a point where people hit panic mode and people that just bought literally a couple of days before, all the one emergency end staking and selling because panic or whatever it might be, that's when the balance gets broken. But ultimately, they end up being the one that's losing. And that's
Yeah.
the sad part. And I want to say something else that's very important. 70 to 75% of my T-shares, very important. Let me say it again, slow. 70 to 75% of my total T-shirt that I accumulated was during that time when we got that 66%, because there's no way I would have been able to get
Right.
this many if it wasn't for that dip. Because again, I miss 100x move.
True. Yeah.
So that's for people to understand. This is your opportunity. If
Mm-hmm.
you are like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, the price is this, the price is that, boom. And if you really understand HEX and you understand money printers, this is exactly what we're talking about.
100%. Not only that, you see a nice little bullish divergence, hidden bullish
Mm-hmm.
divergence on the bottoms
Mm-hmm.
here. Clear uptrend. I mean, the uptrend is still intact. Like,
Yeah.
the last real low we had was 11 cents. So forming this market structure in the 20s is like, it's fine. Like,
Exactly.
people
That's
just
why I'm kind of
normalize.
laughing when people call it a crash, this
Yeah.
and that. I'm just laughing. I'm just like, dude, what do you mean? Like, it's a time of the, but again, I'm trying to be mindful too of the person that just got in like last week, because
Yeah,
they
of
have a
course.
different type of feeling. But I want them to understand that A, it's nothing new. B, we have seen worse. And C, actually, this is a great opportunity for you to accumulate if you
Love
haven't
it.
got to the T-shirt count that you're looking to be. Because like I said, I buy every week. I buy some more on the dip. This Friday when I get paid, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to buy some more too. Because it doesn't matter. It's like clockwork. Now I get more for less. It's a no-brainer. Because I turn it into a money printer. Because I
Right.
turn into a money printer, I turn into a productive asset. Therefore, my price is not relevant because I'm literally making this thing go to work the next day.
Right
Make
on.
sense?
Of course.
This
Of
is
course.
why I don't worry about. I'm freeing myself from worried about price every 5 seconds. That's
Yeah.
why the staker class win. That's why your charts are so powerful. That's why we show the decorrelation where staker class really run the show. And over time, we're gonna run the show even more and more and more because we're the one receiving the inflation. No matter
Right.
what happened, we're getting paid. The
Mm-hmm.
last couple of days of all those emergency penalties, we're getting paid out the wazoo. It's crazy. Especially when we don't need the money now because we already set up the stake, which means we don't care about the price until the stake ends. Because we're not going to be one of those that's going to emergency end stake. It's like it doesn't make sense. You're getting all this extra money and then you're going to give it away. Like, no, you know. But I need people to understand that dynamic because it's very, very important. And this dip might be their opportunity to get 2, 3, 5 times more T-share they would have otherwise get. Because not only you're getting it on a discount, right? But then you're getting something on a discount that you can stake for up to 15 years. That's going to give you another 3x bonus.
Right.
So your discount is almost like a 9x. You know what I mean? Because it's a
Of
square.
course. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I like your 3-point checklist. This is nothing new. We've seen worse, and it's a buying opportunity. And this is
Yes.
the most cool down we've been in a long time. Like, we've only ever
Yes.
seen this RSI like once, I
Never.
believe.
It's crazy. And
Once,
actually,
once or
pull up
never,
my
depending
favorite
on which chart you
indicator
look
for
at.
people to see, please, because
Which
this is
one?
funny. DMI. I want you to pull up DMI on the daily. We
Is
have
it
never
on?
seen we have never seen this kind of this level of intensity in the sales side, which is just clearly showing that it's just panic and it's primarily coming from the new guy, not the old guy, because the old
You need
guy is
to
on position.
you need to teach me how to use this indicator. I know you love this one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So put it on first. Let me see if I can make my screen bigger
Here, let
because
me
I'm trying to
get these a
see it.
little beefier.
You have it on?
Yeah, one sec. Here you go.
All right, cool. Yeah. It's usually
Good.
it's red, blue, and orange. Okay, perfect. So let me rotate my screen so I can see it bigger. All right. Yes. Thanks. Is this what is
Yeah.
it? Is it daily 4 hour?
Daily. You want
Daily.
weekly?
Okay.
Or?
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
So for people to understand, the first thing about DMI is that again, it's a directional moving indicator. So what it focuses on is not so much about the price.
Yeah.
It's just showing you about the movement of the flow of the capital, the money. Is more money coming in or more money coming out? what is the market makers are doing, because that's how you can catch any kind of shenanigans, because we're on chain and they can't fake that. First thing you want to do is go on the weekly chart, please. DMI is more accurate the higher the time frame, because again, this is not the day trader indicator.
Right.
This is the value investor long term. First thing you want to see, you see how, like, number one, HEX is in a different world. Blue means buy, orange is yellow, red is the intensity of the move. You see how, like, on the weekly chart, this thing since inception has almost never touched. Blue has always been above since inception, which is fundamentally what a CD is about long term. That tells you right there that this thing is here to stay long term, because this is where you stack your money. Even the people chasing the Bitcoin pump right now, their hope is the move is simple. They're gonna dump it on the new guy institution, get some liquidity out of it, get some cash USDC, and then I won't be surprised if they go buy the HEX dip. Because again, you make the extra money and then you go back and you buy the productive asset. It's just a no-brainer, right? So when you look at it on the weekly, you get to see how literally we have never seen instances where it has crushed ever. And if you go to Bitcoin, you go to Ethereum, it has done it, but we have never. That's how strong HEX is when we say up and to the right. That's number one. Number two, you get to see how we're getting close to the zone, blue level, where the dip was during the big payday phase, and that run up before. If you go back to that, look at how low blue was, right around that time, and look at where we are. We're more oversold than that, I think, almost slightly, right? Which is almost showing you as a value proposition how amazing this is. And what blows me away is this much thing happened, yet we're still at 25 cents, 24, whatever we are. And this is a low we have never seen before, almost once, or almost as good as the one in the big. That's the value proposition, which means, because again, the weekly chart tells you the real story. No 4-hour, no 30-minute chart garbage. Every time we get this low, once we bounce, historically, and you can go back, we do average 3 point. You came up with this, remember? 3.75x.
Right.
All the way to 7. Yep. Because when this thing bounces, it's never gonna look back. Because that's the thing. You realize how scarce HEX is the moment what's left gets purchased, and then it's over. Next thing you know, you can see a 30% candle just happen out of nowhere. And then, all right, guys, dip cancel. Thank you for playing. See you later. Bye. Right?
Yeah. I'm almost waiting for that, because like the big payday recovery was like 100% candle. And so it's like,
it's coming. It's coming most likely this week, because again, they're going to play the shenanigans. They're going to play again. People went to chase their BTC garbage. So they got to go get that. They're going to get the liquidity out of it. Or worst case scenario, if it's a sell the news event, they're going to have to rotate back in. Either way, Richard said it best. People need to understand. If the price actually goes up, we actually make more money. People forget that.
Right.
Because that tells me, oh my God, it's not going to be next year. It's going to be this year. It's going to do a 2017 move. Bitcoin go, Ethereum go, and then we go next. We have seen this too many times. But we have to be conservative, because, again, we're backed off by math. We don't just want to sell opium to people because we want the price to go up, right? No.
Correct.
We tell you what we see. And again, until proven otherwise, we still haven't made a new all-time high. This whole thing could just be another double top and then see you later. That would be the perfect bull trap, because everybody's thinking it's going to do X and then it goes the other way. People forget about token listing, what usually happens, right? CME is just a fucking token listing, okay? But just at a bigger scale. Don't forget that.
You know, when allegedly the ETF, has it even been approved?
It's tomorrow. It starts to trade tomorrow on the pro shares. Tomorrow morning.
Oh, no.
Tuesday. Okay. Yes, sir. Get ready. It's going to be some fucking fireworks. You might even see, like, you know, if you're familiar with like the Orca, like pre-market. I don't know if they're gonna open in pre-market or they're gonna do like a typical bell 12 o'clock bullshit. But it's tomorrow. I don't know if it's gonna be the 9 a.m. open thing, 9:30, or is it gonna be like a 12 o'clock thing? But it's definitely tomorrow.
Interesting.
So this might be your last chance to get a really, really nice dip before the shenanigans happens tomorrow. Usually midweek is where you get to see the trend. Yeah. But again, if it's a true sell the news, they're not going to wait. They're going to list the thing and they're going to dump it. You know why? because like I said last week, the premium is still fucking negative. It's still negative
It is
15%
correct.
on the
Correct.
yes. And those people, they cannot offload too much too fast because they're going to crash the Bitcoin price. They don't mind offloading on the CME, even if Bitcoin go to 55K, because they want the volume. You understand?
Right, right.
So they can sell billions of dollars worth. On the garbage exchange and all the wash trading and the garbage, if you're trying to sell billions worth, you're going to create a negative 30% candle. They can't
Oh,
let that
man.
happen. This is also why I show how Grayscale is liquidating, is holding, but they're doing it slowly for
I saw
people not to
that.
notice.
I saw that. They're slowly been
Exactly.
selling
I
thousands
literally
of
pulled it
coins.
up. This is the biggest, big ass bearish divergence you have ever seen. But again, I'm a macro guy. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week. I'm just letting you know what's happening. They're not buying more. They're offloading.
Smart money sells into strength. And
Exactly.
who's the liquidity? Guess what's launching tomorrow? Doesn't take too much rocket science to figure that one out.
Exactly. They're dumping on the new noob, which is the people on the Wall Street. But then again, that's also people's money because they're not even using their money. It's like imagine like you own a business, right? And you have a portfolio of real estate, right? You've been very successful. You got a bunch of property, and then you're preparing your exit, and then you get like a portfolio of like 10,000 units, and then you sell it to BlackRock or whatever. You just do your exit, and then it gets listed somewhere on the stock exchange, and then you take your $5 billion, and then you just walk away. Make sense?
I didn't catch that last part. I'm sorry.
I'm saying I give you an example. Let's say you own a business, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And then all real estate, and then you started, and then you start having hundreds of units, thousands of
Right.
units.
Okay.
You've been doing this for a while, and then you're preparing what they call the exit. It's kind of like the IPO listing, right?
Right, right.
But usually, who's the buyer? The bigger buyer is usually Wall Street, right?
Okay.
BlackRock, those kind of people. And then because Grant Cardone talks about it all the time. And then you come in and you sell them the portfolio during the listing. You take your $5 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing gets listed somewhere, gets put on the collateral somewhere, and then you just walk away with the money. The same way right now, some Bitcoin OGs or whatever pushing the price up easily during the weekend because they want to play the listing game to get the price high enough. So when they create the big wick, at least they get some liquidity out of it. Because they can't do that on the regular small exchange.
Right.
Because when I say regular small exchange, I mean small compared to CME, in terms of liquidity.
And I like that this kind of brings up the whole liquidity isn't market cap, because I'd argue liquidity is more important than market cap, because liquidity is actual money, I guess, actual cash flowing in that whether asset or ecosystem. So I can't remember. I heard someone say there's this multiplier of like 30 or 40, which is the actual.
Yes.
liquidity.
Tom Lee used to say that. Yes. For people watching in the chat, what Gerardo is saying is that the market of crypto compared to the traditional market is like illiquid in a sense where if you have $1 million, you can pump the price by $30 million. So there's a fraction of like 30x multiplier, 20 to 30x on average. Now, I will say this about the whole liquidity thing. It depends on what you're trying to do, okay? Because on one side is good, on one side is bad. If you're a long-term thinker and you don't need the money today, so to speak, for lack of better words, and you want the price to go higher, liquidity is not what you want. When we say liquidity, I just want to preface this. We're talking about in like big money liquidity. The average person doesn't even need that liquidity. I mean, they're buying 10, 20 grand worth. What are you going to need the $500 million liquidity for? You know what I mean? If anything, it's going to make the price not go up, and then people are going to get pissed off. That's why Richard used the word, you want to be liquid enough.
Yes.
So there's no crash, but then there's also easy for the price to go up. But we don't want to allow shenanigans, because some of those people selling right now could have just been traders. They're just here for the copy and play the buy the rumor, sell the news when we're getting the snapshot. You know what I mean? They are the ones sweating right now because they were never true Hexicans from the beginning, because true Hexicans, they're going to be staking anyway. They know they're going to get their copy, but they listen to our streams and they understand, I'm going to set up my ladder. I'm going to get my copy. Everything's going to be copied. So I'm good to go. The people who are just like, hey, I want to get the copy and I'm staying liquid, I don't buy your bullshit. I know you're just a trader. You're just trying to sell on both sides. And now they're all the one that were exiting for the most part.
Yeah.
Just like Big Payday. They got played out their own game.
I pointed this out too, because people were asking like, is there going to be a pulse dip? Like, is there going to be a hex dip, EHEX dip? And I kept saying like, maybe there's an amount of people who, when Pulse was announced as a thing in the first place around here, though there are short-term trader type people who just want to get in, get the snapshot, ride the narrative rally, and some of those people successfully did that. But guess what? If you zoom out,
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, if you zoom out, you see that they pretty much decided to play along during this period, and if they're out, then you can let the price chart do its thing basically after that. But definitely, this is almost looking like. Think about it.
It's doing the same thing, man. I'm telling you, it's because those last minute extra pump is those people. I'm telling you,
I was just going to say
because
because
those who are stake, they won't be saying that because again, they stake for a reason. They're enjoying the dip because they get extra penalties, and because they always wanted to accumulate more. Now they get to buy a cheaper T-shirt. You know what I mean?
Of course, the people who are actually in it for the long term, right?
Exactly.
And I wanted to. The reason I brought up liquidity is because even Bitcoin being the most liquid crypto on the market, even with the most liquidity on the market, you see these big players still having to play these games, like you pointed out, having to take liquidity from new listings and whatnot, which just goes to show like it's not as liquid as people might think. There's not $1 trillion of Bitcoin able to be actually taken out of the system. It's probably closer to like what, 30-40 billion.
Yes, exactly. And this is why also, to quote Richard, because he has great quotes, obviously, this is why also on-demand liquidity is about. That is the key. Right. It's not that the money is not available. It's those exchange dreams, right? I need to hear this. It's like a liquidity provider dream. Is you want to be rage bound, right?
Yes, correct.
Because now you will give $1 billion away, no problem. If somebody say, hey, Kareem, or hey, Gerardo, provide liquidity, I give you a 10 to 15 cents range, and the price will never go below that. You're gonna love it. You're gonna give billions dollars. Why? Because you're here for the trading fee. You understand?
Correct.
And you're not really losing money because you know you're playing in the range.
And you're gonna end up with the same ratio.
Love that for that. The moment you say, hey, I'm gonna pump the price 20-30x, they're like, no, fuck that. Because they want to keep the coin because the price is gonna go higher. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or similar opposite side, oh, the price might quote unquote crash. They're gonna be like, no. I want to keep my liquidity, right? So that is why it's called on demand. This is also why we talk about like kind of the marshmallow effect, where if you panic sell or you're not here for the long term, you're just an first actor. Why we're gonna give you extra liquidity? We'll just wait for you to be done,
right?
Because we know you're chasing the pump. So we're gonna wait. The shenanigans goes done. The buy the rumor, sell the news, whatever, all that is done. There's no more narrative. Now we'll know who's really here for the long term and who's only here for the, thanks for the free lunch and then bounce. You see what I mean?
Correct.
And that's when, watch. When that gets done, you'll see how the price just rebound like it's no big deal. Faster than people expect. And by the time they're trying to go back to position, it's already too late. So they chase a pump, may get wrecked over there. And by the time they're trying to come back, they won't be able to get in at the same price they sold it at.
Yeah.
Because they think they're smart, but they're not. And the sad part is, unfortunately, along the way, in their narrative play, they have to add the FUD. I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff the last 3 days about, Richard is doing this, Richard. I'm like, what the fuck you guys talking about? It's all garbage. And then we can prove it all on chain. And then we're going to show again the receipts tomorrow, because none of those wallets are moving. The big wells are chilling. I talk to them all the time. There's no issue. You can see it. Total T-shirt count, 11 million chilling. You get those little spikes from the people that emergency end state. We had like a laundry list. It was like 19-page long. And it's sad because those people don't have much and they're losing half their bag. Some of them get nuked completely. It's just sad to see, you know what I mean? Because I don't want them to go through that. But they got to understand, either you spend the time to be educated or you're going to have to pay the price. But one way or another, you're going to pay the tuition.
Fact, bro.
The way we pay the tuition to make the money was we delay gratification, right?
Correct.
I tell the story all the time where the dream account went from $27 payout per day to today it's doing 5 figures every single day. Even with this dip, it doesn't matter.
That's nuts.
5 figures. But the secret was I delayed gratification. I done the math. So when I missed a 100x move and the price goes down 70%, I'm actually salivating and I'm rushing to get my money out on my 401k. I remember that vividly because I was calling those idiots fucking every day because it's so stupid, right? They take your money via EFT, but when you ask them to send your money back, they have to send you a check, and it might take you 3 weeks to 4 weeks to get your money, which
So
is
dumb.
stupid.
Yeah.
But what's hilarious, it's almost like karma, is this is also when the dip was the most severe. Funny enough, had I gotten the money sooner, I would have bought it when the price was dipping at 45%-ish, I remember. But then I couldn't get the money until 3 weeks later, and it went lower, and I was able to buy more, and then I went 15 years. And it's the funniest thing. Yeah, it was almost the all-time, right here, right before the run-up. That is the, you can say is the lower low since the Godwell pump, right?
Did you
look at it? I think it's the lowest of the low. Even big payday aftermath didn't dip this low. Yes,
you're right. Yeah,
because it was like 2,000 of a penny. I remember. It was the lowest of the low, and that's literally when the money came in.
Right there. Not only
Right
that,
there.
early September was when we got the Uniswap airdrop as well.
Yes.
So if you had used Uniswap, which was the spot to get HEX basically all year long, I've done the math on this. If you had switched that over into HEX and staked it, that's like 500,000 HEX. That's like 120 grand right now. Whereas if you'd kept it in Uni, it's like a tenth of that. So you overperformed just holding the free airdrop by swapping it over into HEX. So that's a free 100K right there if you'd done the right
Stupid,
thing.
man. It was just amazing.
Free money,
but that's
free
the key. I want people to understand and have that hindsight, because this dip they're getting right now, they might never see that again. And on average, again, based on your math, which is true, we'll get a 3.7x from here. So I'm even here on your stream to double down. I believe in your prediction on Twitter. I think you're gonna hit that by the end of the year. The $1.31, I think, right? That's what you said.
137.
137. Sorry. Yeah, I can see that by the end of the year, easy. Because number one, again, bullish catalyst that's still there in terms of snapshot, pulse chain. I do say this, why I like pulse chain even more now is because there is people, because I do support also, because again, head of business and sticker app. So I do support for people a lot that talk to me like, hey, Kareem, I got $500, I got $300, my friends, this is that. And the Ethereum fee is such a garbage that actually it's prohibiting some of the buying. This is my way to say some of this dip that people are seeing right now is almost not normal, which means you need to take advantage of. Another indicator, right? If you go back to the RSI, that thing was almost negative. It went below zero at some point. It was like, it was so oversold. It was just like insane. But it's also because people want to buy, but they can't. They keep messaging me like, hey, the fee's too high. I see the dip, but I can't buy it. You know, if I got $200 and I got to pay $50 for a swap, you know what I mean? It just,
man.
That's the unfortunate truth. But with Pulse Chain, we're not going to have that issue. So understand that this dip might just be very, very temporary, because I know what arbitrage is going to do. Example, Pulse Chain launch, right? All of a sudden, people can move with their capitals now because the fees are so cheap. What do you think the bot's going to do? They're going to start buying HEX on the cheaper side and sell it on the other side. Next thing you know, even EX is going to go up. You see what I mean? Because it's going to drag it up. You see what I mean?
I definitely see that. And I've even theorized what, just in general, we see a premium on HEX on Pulse versus HEX on ETH, just because taking into account the barrier to entry with fees. So if, let's say, the average person pays an extra, I don't know, 5% just to get into their position, that's obviously going to average across like whales and small people. But let's say the average person pays X% to get in, then maybe we see that percentage premium on the Pulse side at all times, and maybe it's variable based on the actual Ethereum gas fees.
I am telling you, it will happen. We're already seeing it. I give you an example. People waiting for Pulse Chain. Let me tell you an example of what's already happening. This is what you see with the HEX listing on some of those small exchanges, or like on sometimes the HEX to ETH or the HEX to BTC pair, where when you look at it on TradingView, because you can see all three, sometimes they have a slightly difference in price, like 5-10% premium, but it usually quickly gets closed within 24 hours, right? Because there's some bots that comes in. Imagine that on a Pulse Chain, but even more efficient because it's 3-second block transaction. You know what I mean? So it's going to happen because that's just how efficiency work in the market. It's the easiest arbitrage. It's the same bullshit with the Bitcoin premium. People buying it at 14% discount right now and dumping on people's heads at the much higher price. It's the easy. It's a literally risk-free trade. You know what I mean? It's free money.
Yeah. That isn't that just assuming PHEX and EHEX find some sort of parity, which I'm all for that. Like,
it will.
I'm almost assuming that, but it is assuming that, right? It is an
Yes,
assumption.
this is how the bonded liquidity is going to go. And to me, it's just common sense, right? Because I see the math.
Right.
The pulse is going to run because the same way how higher Ethereum value allowed HEX to go in price faster because it was a ratio, it was moved as a function of a square, right? How we were telling people, and I told my friends, don't buy Ethereum, buy HEX directly because as Ethereum goes up in price, you naturally benefit from that upside as long as the pair is sustained. You understand? So just let's say we maintain the ratio after the automatic market maker comes in and do what he got to do, right? Remember in the beginning, because he's going to start at 0 or whatever. When all of that is done, if pulse start to run, which he most likely will, and HEX, PHEX, whatever you want to call it, but we're just going to say HEX on pulse is able to maintain his pair compared to pulse,
right?
Automatically we get dragged up. You know, make sense? So if pulse chain run 5x, 10x in the beginning very easily, and we maintain parity, we get that 5 to 10x just like that without doing anything, because that's what the bundle liquidity is going to do. And then imagine the arbitrage bots kicking in now saying, wait a minute, it's the same HEX, same contract, but this one here is less expensive than this one over there. Yes, the fees are more expensive, but it's still cheaper. Therefore, there's a value proposition for me to go buy that cheaper one and bring it to the expensive one. So next thing you know, the liquidity from EX is being brought to PX. Does that make sense?
No, I see that. And not only that, even if let's say for kind of argument's sake, the sacrifice address has hundreds of millions of stable coins.
Yes.
And if you look at the actual,
which it does, it's
right,
the fact.
If you look at the bid support on all of the HEX pairs and both Uniswap versions, it's only like $30 million on each side. So to duplicate a market like that is pretty easy. Like you literally just wrap 30 million of that USDC onto Pulse Chain. If you are worried about like a PUSDC having no value, you just wrap the real stuff and provide liquidity there. You double the market, double the code.
Richard already hinted at that. Absolutely.
Code, and you have parity. Like that's one very possible scenario.
This is why I agree with your prediction. And like I was telling to my friend, kind of tongue in cheek, but I actually mean it. We're going to get the next double even faster than people expect. Because all we need to do mathematically to get the double is just when the Pulse chain launch, and if the parity is matched right from the beginning, the HEX version, right? That's a double by itself. Literally. It's just like Big Payday all over again. That's why I was saying, oh, the price crashed. No. On Big Payday, my stack doubled. So even with the crash, I was still up by a lot.
Nice.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And us at Sticker App, little breaking news, but it's really cool. We're going to make sure to display in the future when you're going to see your entire wealth. So literally, the price could be 25 cents. Let's say we say, hey guys, snapshot this week, whatever it might be. It might create a pump, of course, but let's say it doesn't pump. It just stays where it is. The snapshot happened, and if we list and we maintain parity, you just got a fucking double, because you got the same thing on the other side, the same stakes, the same liquid, the same timeline of when this stake's gonna end and blah blah blah, and you're gonna be able to swap it for real value, real USDC. Next thing you know, overnight you just got your next double. That's what I want people to understand, because some people are gonna miss that, and when they miss that. And yes, Pulse gets launched. And yes, they're going to buy HEX on Pulse. But guess what? You missed your double, because you could have been in position. You get what I'm saying?
Of course. Of course.
And that's what I'm seeing. And then from there, when we rally back up, let's say 50, 60 cents, it's actually going to look like $1, because if we meet parity and then we launch, and then the price start to steadily rise on both sides, based on what we just talked about, the bonding liquidity, leading by the HEX on Pulse, simply because it's cheaper to buy over there. Next thing you know, we can bring the liquidity from EX to PX that way in an efficient manner. So when the surge of new buyer comes in, because that's going to pump the price like crazy also, by bringing the liquidity from one chain to the other chain, we allow the price to be steady also. So those who want to accumulate are going to be able to still do so without the price going extraordinarily high. Because make no mistake, when you start to pay a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a penny for a transaction fee, now even buying a $50 HEX makes sense. You understand what I mean?
Of course, of course.
Because now literally you're getting 99.99% value on your purchase because you're paying 0.00005. I think there was a hot dog earlier yesterday that took a nice picture of that transaction on Pulse. That was really cool to see temporarily.
Yeah.
Right? Just to point people in perspective, because 5 million of total buy and we're right back up to where we were. Like it's just, it doesn't take that much because again, this is liquidity working on your side, being low, because this is a CD. It's not a tradable coin. It's supposed to go up and buy it. It's a lock-in coin. It's a feature.
Right. Like who's out here trading bonds, you know?
Exactly. What?
What? No, it's something you hold. Someone said, you could have been in position will be the words that haunt scared money. That's a good quote right there. You could have been in position. It's true, man. Like, oh man, like you said, prior to big payday, like if you had been smart and like you did, bought this dip right here, even after the big payday dump, you effectively doubled your stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were just in it for the free lunch, like you said, and got in just a couple weeks before big payday, even though you maybe doubled your coins, you might have been down because it was like an 80% dip and didn't maybe
let me tell you how
like,
much up you actually were, which is actually insane. I need people to understand this.
Depends on the number of
On the
t-shirts
big
you had,
payday
right?
itself, people like me, obviously, because I stick long, right? Because that's important too. Because some people didn't. But you got a minimum 30%. Those who stake long on the big payday, not only you double your stack, but the next 2 weeks after that, this is when the sell-off started and the emergency penalties and blah, blah, blah. So the doubling, that was just because of big payday. That wasn't even the bonus we got from all the emergency penalty. Make sense?
Oh, that's a good point.
So I actually got an extra X. So I didn't just get like double, I got a triple because of all the penalty that I collected, because there was crazy emergency staking and staking going on, to the point where by the time it hit the bottom, my account total value almost didn't change. It was insane.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
And then by the time it went back up to where we were, literally the value tripled. And this is how building wealth is about. Incremental growth and then the surge. And then people are like, oh my God, you got so lucky. No, bitch. Like Gary Vee will say, like, you're the overnight success that take 20 years. No. Like, what?
No, bro, that's fact right there. And the only reason I brought that up is to emphasize exactly that. Like, we could see a similar event where you have a snapshot and at the end of the day, you look at your total account balance and maybe it just looks exactly the same, even though there's been a ton of volatility in PLS, PHEX, EHEX, and everything's just going berserk. But at the end of the day, you look at your stake wrap, like you said, if it integrates all chains and all your coins.
We're gonna make it so cool. Oh my God. I don't want to say too much, but I've seen the snippet already. It looks amazing. It's gonna be the most seamless integration you have ever seen in your life. It's just like literally just the beautiful thing, all display for you to see. And that's even before I release, the promotion that I'm working on, which are going to be gangster. I am going to pay people to be wealthy. It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. We're going to make trading obsolete. Staking is going to be the new game in town, because what's coming, it's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. Enjoy this. This is your chance for those who I miss big payday. This is your big payday 2.0. And the best part about the snapshot is that no matter what, you get a double. There's no like, hey, big payday, you stake for like a day or 2 days, you get like 30%. No, this one, no matter what, you get a double. If you are in position, of course. If you're not, then hey, I can't help you. The same way I told you guys, all you crabs out there, all you turtles, I work for you, but I can't make you stake. You want to be a millionaire? I will help you. You can bet your bottom dollar. I made my life mission right now. But I can't help you stake. You have to make that decision, right? We'll lead the horse to the water, but we can't make it drink. You got it. That's why you got to do the research, but that's why we provide you all the evidence, all the math, so you get to understand what's going on.
Nice. So
And
this
you're
was
not by yourself. I'm staking with you. And I probably have more at stake than most people.
Yeah, honestly, probably. Yeah.
This is
I
how
mean,
you build wealth.
You've
You do
shared
things that most people don't do. That's why most people are not wealthy. You got to understand that. You got to be that contrarian. You can't be doing the thing that you used to do or feel the way you used to feel because that didn't yield any results. So you got to do something different if you want different results. And if you know you can't trust yourself, this is where the wisdom comes in. This is where staking is so powerful. If you know you're somebody that can easily get swayed by FUD and this and that, I'm not blaming you for that. What I'm saying is you should have the wisdom to understand, oh, I can't trust myself. When shit gets too rough, I have a bad habit of, pressing wrong buttons and start to overtrade and destroy my account. Guess what? That's what staking is for. So you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
you made a plan, execute the plan, respect your decision that you made to yourself. That's all. That's all you gotta do.
In summary, if you're a human, your biology is designed for being a terrible trader, and so staking is gonna save your ass.
I love that. If you're a human, yes.
If you're a robot, then staking might not apply to you, but maybe it might still help. Because
if you're not human, then hey, maybe. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I mean, someone said Kareem is an American treasure. I agree with that.
Thank you.
Someone else said you breathe HEX, which I also agree with.
I do. Really. Every day, my goal is now I do a lot of support and helping people, but like I need to get it on board. I need to help somebody on the support, and then I need to reach out, right? Outbound messaging, because that is the key. Because there's many people that still need this. This is the one good thing I will say about the ETF situation. At the end of the day, it is a positive thing for crypto as a whole, long term. This is the final capitulation because now we're getting ETF in the United States. That's a big deal. But that's also another reminder to let everybody know that, hey, shit just got real even more. We're here to stay, which means everything you do now has even more ramification years down the road. This is like you buying your Bitcoin at, after the $30 top, and then he went down to do the little retracement, but understanding that it's just begun. Because people still don't understand the traditional market outside of crypto. We're still looking at this bubble like, crypto, Ponzi, this, that. Is it real? You know what I mean? That narrative hasn't completely gone away.
Right.
ETF is going to help address that. But that's to remind everybody that we're still very early in this new asset class. And even big money realize that crypto might be the only way for them to try to avoid the market crash. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they don't have any other option. You see what I mean?
Of course. You bring up an interesting thought, because I'm thinking about this sort of crypto regulations coming into play, and overall, because I remember a comment saying like, are you worried about that for HEX? And my response was no, because it's actually one of the few coins that does comply. And so with securities laws specifically, and if you look at other coins, I don't want to name too many other coins, but even Coinbase's yield program, when they start competing with like treasury rates, they're getting hit up by the SEC, and it's like you can't be offering yields in stables. But HEX doesn't do that, obviously. I think you cut off, by the way.
What?
Oh no, you're there. Just you kind of froze up.
I'm just listening to you. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Then you kind of froze up. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I think regulation in general is a good thing because it's going to show which coins actually did comply at the end of the day and which ones didn't. And HEX is going to, in my opinion, come out on top because ever since the beginning, its marketing has been very, very clear in terms of what to expect, what not to expect, arguably even more important.
Yes.
And it's just been, textbook.
That's why we're so beautifully positioned, because we also got that regulatory clarity because we check all the boxes. This is the reason why when we're saying literally a couple of weeks back about how we don't even have any competition. Let's talk about that for a second.
Correct.
First of
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
quick math. Nobody pays the yield the way we pay it. Period. Full stop. End of story. Nobody gets the return that HEX has as fast as it got. It's the fastest appreciation assets. If you just look at the time frame, which is less than 2 years, we even outgrew Bitcoin, right? Those
Right.
are facts. And then you add the fact that we are literally, there's no counterparty risk, everything on chain, true crypto, the only crypto, like Wells will say. Even us at Staker app, we let you guys know it's a non-custodial wallet. Why is that? It's important. So we don't want to get sued and we don't want to deal with regulatory this or that or whatever it might be. No, the user is always
Right.
in full control and doing everything. That's why the BlockFi, the Celsius of the world, whatever, they deal with all kinds of problems that we will never have to deal with because we don't have that regulatory risk and we don't want to take the counterparty risk anyway. We want people to handle their own money themselves. That's it. So that way everybody gets to sleep better at night. You know what I mean?
You basically named both of the parties I didn't want to name, but yeah, them
Oh,
like
my
they.
bad.
No, it's all good. But clearly, like if you're offering stablecoin yield, it's like
Yeah.
you're directly competing with government treasury yields. Like
Yes.
that's not. They're not going to allow that. They're not going to allow their game to be kind of like rugged from beneath them.
Yeah, right.
But I wanted to shout out this
unstoppable
chat real
smart
quick.
contract, right?
Let me shout out the super chat real quick. Patty with the $50. I appreciate
nice.
that. They said not here for a double, here to take over. Gerardo and Kareem. There you go. We're writing history together.
Bang, Patty.
We are all writing history together. We're going to change the world with an army in every corner of the world. Stand strong and united, Hexicans.
Facts.
That's much
150 country by 2026. That's my
goal.
goal.
The monologue there. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
150 countries by 2026. That's my other goal. I've mentioned that
Nice.
like 10 streams ago. When somebody asked me, I had a great question on Coin Game. He said, Kareem, what's your goal for HEX for adoption? 5 years, 10-year plan. So I say by 2026, so 5 years from now, roughly, I want HEX to be in 150 countries. Solid.
Nice.
I'm talking about like fucking meetups, everything.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 50 people, but like, hey, this country, boom, represent. That country, boom. So like we're doing the tour, US, but make no mistake, after that, it's gonna be more and more continent. The same way Rich is doing Europe. By the way, for people who don't know, breaking news. November, I don't know if it's the first week or second week, but the travel ban in the US is about to be lifted. So all you Hexicans out there worldwide, good news. You might be able to make it to Vegas, no problem.
Nice.
Or if you want to come earlier, catch the tour, fuck yeah. Let us know. I'll be in Dubai next month. But
Nice.
November 27, I'm back because I'm here for the Boston when they come here. And I'm gonna drive with them all the way to fucking Vegas. We're going to be onboarding people for months. So get ready. We're just getting started. All you got to do is literally get your t-shirts. I am telling you right now, take it to the bank. It's math. This is moments like this when wealth is being built.
Damn.
And we're going to clip this because at the end of the year, we're going to say on Gerard's stream, we talked about this. Look at where we are now.
We did. Public service announcement. Get your T-shares. Get your T-shares before Kareem hits the road. Before he hits U.S. soil.
Yes, you better. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're doing it. And we're gonna celebrate Hex's birthday too. So
you're right.
December. Don't forget that. That's gonna be lit.
Is it December 2nd or 3rd? I'm pretty sure
December
it's
2nd.
Okay, cool.
It's a birthday. And based on the schedule, it's November 27, Boston. They're here, hometown. Then we go to New York on the 30th. And then while we're in New York, December 2nd, it's the birthday party. So we're going to probably do a big event over there. Live stream is going to be crazy. And then we'll start to go further down, all the way to Miami.
Sheesh.
Yeah, all the way to New Year's. It's going to be insane. You know how it is with New Year's. It's going to be bubbly everywhere. And then we go west.
Oh, man. I might have to fly in.
I don't know if you have the schedule, but I have it. If you want, I can send it to you later.
Please do.
It shows the whole thing.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to see if I could potentially make one of those spots.
Yeah, I'll send it to you on Instagram. It's easier because I have it in my pictures. I don't want to disconnect the stream because I'm on my phone. If I do something, it's gonna exit me. But yeah, So we're literally perfectly timed right now. Like, be smart. I feel bad for the late people that just got in that didn't get enough time to learn about how the product worked, which end up panic selling. But
Yeah.
I need them to understand that they gotta allow themselves to have enough time to learn before they start making any rash decisions. That's the
Yeah,
beauty
that's
about being
true.
staked. Because when you're staked, you have actually free yourself to have extra free time to really go and do the research, to double down, to watch the videos so that you can feel more comfortable about the decision you already made. And you're not looking at the chart every 5 minutes. That's the whole point. Because those who didn't, sadly, they become the liquidity, right? They become the wick. They become the people paying us emergency penalty. I hate to say it like that, but I need people to
Yeah.
understand. Because we're not hurt by this. We're getting paid every day. In about 3 hours, we're getting paid.
Right.
Clockwork. There's no like, oh, no, we're getting paid. And we understand that we live off interest, which means literally any price is literally free money because the principal is unaffected. The interest is what we collect.
That's right. Speaking facts, dropping facts. Someone asked.
Always.
Someone asked
Somebody said
if
I'm trying
you
to pump.
have. Someone asked if you have a YouTube channel, which is a good question.
I do not, but with Sticker App, we're coming with something. So
Okay.
just be
What's
tuned.
up?
But right now, I just love being on other people's streams because
Yeah.
it's easier. I like to cross promote, and
Nice.
because I'm also very busy doing all this stuff. So
That's true.
that's why. But by all means, we're coming with something. So stay tuned.
Nice. I just thought it might be a good idea because you've seen YouTube be all like censorship here and there. So just
Yep.
to have another prominent person in the Hex community with a channel and obviously a voice and influence like you do might be a good
Yes.
idea. Just kind of have it as a backup, but just kind of a little.
No, absolutely. I mean,
there.
this is kind of why we started kind of Quan Gang on Maddie's stream.
Yeah.
Because it started as a, hey, we'll just get together, and then it became a steady thing. Next thing you know, we do it every week, right? So that's why I committed for that. And then for the other stuff, we'll probably do that too. But for everybody that's new in the chat, and you all know that it just the best way will be to find me on Twitter
Sure.
at Your Magic. That maybe you can put in the chat. That's where you want to get me if you want to talk to me directly. That's better than the YouTube because it's always there and it's consistent. So, or if you type in your browser, stickerclass.com. Maddie gave me this link. It literally route you directly. So that will be the easiest, fastest way. That and Telegram. But once we make the announcement about the YouTube thing, we'll let the community know. But that's usually the easiest way.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
I am telling you, recovery this week, guarantee. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, man. People are saying here that we're synergizing while the bottom is in. I mean, this is a nice way.
Don't pump it too much, all right? I'm getting paid Friday. Yeah, wait. No. I need to get some of the dip too. You can't just take it out.
It's up.
I always make this joke. It's the funniest thing. When I get paid, price always goes up. But when it's the other Friday, it's like that's when I get dips. I'm like, what the hell's going on? It's like almost somebody's like tracking me or something.
You just reminded me of that Nagabo audio sample when he's like, price went up. I come back to the store. Price went up.
It's almost like it's a conspiracy against me or something.
Yeah.
No, all right, we'll give it cream at a premium. But it's okay. I never look at price. I just market buy it, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Savage.
Savage.
Who
I market buy it gets to my target. I do the stake and that's it. Believe it or not, this is the Hex clip right here. I spend way more time meticulously practicing when to stake, strategize on that, than I spend in fucking looking at chart. Real talk. It would be nice to catch some dips here and there, but at this point, I don't even care. Right. I'm more focused on how much Hex do I want to stake and for how long, and how do I got my cool 15-year ladders, because I only do 15-year stakes now. But I want to ladder them in a way that it creates the lifestyle of 15 years from now for the rest of my days. Does that make sense?
Of course, of course. I mean,
so for people new in the chart, in the stream right now, spend more time thinking about what's your staking strategy. Trust me, because the next promotion that I'm coming out with is going to be heavily geared based on that. So I'm giving you a little Easter egg right now.
Nice.
We're not going to care about your trading skill because we're not traders. We're stakers. It's called Staker App for a reason. Hexicans or diamond handlers.
It's not trader.app.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro, for real. Man, and I actually did want to just I want to point this out because I like to hedge my statements, and we we have a nice wick. Yes, yes, that is true. But I do want to point out that we've had low volatility bottoms like back here in March, where even though it was a bottom, we went sideways for like a month. And then contrary to that, we have a V-shaped bottom. So this could be, it could play out a bunch of different ways. It could be sort of like a U recovery, or it could be a kind of a V recovery. But either
Yes.
way, this candle looks
I
pretty,
think it's gonna do V shape, and I'm gonna
pretty
double
nice.
down. And here's why. Here's why.
Why?
Because we're number one, we're severely oversold, and the indicator that I use
That's true. That's
is
true.
if you go back briefly to the HEX ETH chart, because that's the one that got abused savagely. So I want people to understand, it's not the Hexagon, it's not the OGs, because they're in position. It's all those fucking Ethereum guys chasing the BTC pump. Make no mistake. That's why it wicked the way it wicked. Because if Gerardo were to do a major move from the top all the way down on that Hex ETH chart, you get to see how savage this thing got pushed down.
Yeah.
And we're still at 25, 24 cents. Which means
50%.
when it bounced back up, and let me remind everybody, it moves as a function of a square on the USD pair. So if we were to just do a little bounce, right, from where we are to the, let's say this is like a mini head and shoulder, whatever that is, from where we are now to the top of the shoulder, what's that move? It's like a 30% move, right?
To like over
from
here?
Where we are now, yeah, to roughly here. Yeah. What's that? How much is that percentage? Roughly, if you were to do a major move.
40%.
Okay. 40 square. This is what we're talking about. Because when the shenanigan of this week about the buy the rumor, sell the news, ETF, blah, 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 when all that shit gets done and this thing bounce the way it does, just doing that little 40% move, moving at a function of a square, that can easily be like 160%. Next thing you know, we could easily be back to 40, 50 cents. That's what people need to understand. Because if it dumps too fast, it's going to bounce back more violently. This is why we break the pair, because the USD pair is the strongest one. Remember, it's 80+% of the liquidity. It's very strong. The fact that it got pushed this much, it's because the HEX ETH pair got abused by like 50% almost.
Honestly,
and the fact that we're holding this strong, this is why HEX is different. If it was another shitcoin and you lose 40%, 50% against ETH like this, bro, you're going negative 80%. Because again, it moves as a function of a square. So the fact that we got like all the RSI, all the indicator went severely oversold, and we're still at 25 cents, that tells you the moment this thing turned green, shit, you better be ready. Because this is HEX. It trades in a vacuum. When you sell your HEX, you got no more HEX. So when we decide to pump this back up and you already got basically sold out, you got no more HEX. How are you going to push the price down? So the ETH bros went to chase the story, and they created this little red, down move. That's fine. We're going to make a higher low, like we're already on trajectory to do so, and then we're going to bounce. But remember, even if we just bounce 20%, that's a 40% move. Next thing you know, 25 cents HEX. Next thing you know, bang, we're back to 40 cents. Like nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible for sure. This did get beat up pretty bad. It's actually a 62% dip from the top to here. What's interesting,
Gerardo, that's insane though. I need to understand. That's insane. It's in HEX ETH 60%. Technically speaking, if you go down 60% on the HEX ETH chart and it moves as a function of a square, we should have been down as a ratio from the bottom to the top, like more than double. But the fact that we only quote unquote went down 50% in USD term, that shows how much liquidity, how strong, resilient HEX is, which then means once we bounce on the upside, it's going to go even faster, because then we absorb all the selling pressure and it's done. So
Yeah.
that's what I want people to understand. To push the HEX price in USD this much,
Yeah.
you need to really try hard. But sooner or later, very soon, those people are going to run out of ammo.
Yeah.
And when they run out of ammo, it's a wrap. We're going to leave them behind.
Yeah. And sure you paint them as like they get left behind and all that, but at the end of the day, some of these guys are like they've made hundreds of X's, right? So if they're exiting, they're cashing out their millions of dollars right here, and that's what they want to do. Like, good for them.
They want the marshmallow.
So
we'll let them have it. We'll just let them
realize,
know next time around if they want to buy it back, it's going to be more expensive. That's all.
Just they need to realize that they're trading a yield producing asset for a trinket at the end of the day. So be careful.
Exactly.
And
because the main thing that was bad was the emergency end stake. Like I've told people many times, even that big wallet that did what it did a couple weeks back. I'm like, I have no problem people taking profits. No problem. It's normal. Heck, when 10 years from now, 15 years from now, shit, I'll be taking profits too. When you take profit and you restake the principal, you're literally using the system the way it was designed. That's fine. What I have a problem with to some degree, and they're just wrecking themselves, is the people just crazy, panic, emergency end stake, getting themselves wrecked, all that kind of stuff. You just bought a day ago and then you're selling out of major lot. That's just, you're just hurting yourself. You know what I mean?
Of course.
That's the difference. There's taking profits and there's panic selling. And when you see how oversold all the indicators are, what we just discussed, even the DMI is showing you an indicator, a low rating that we have never seen almost.
Yep.
Even more than the big payday dip. Like Richard tweeted about it. Like, what's up with the crybabying stuff? But then I internalized. I'm like, all right, wait a minute. It's actually because we're getting a lot of new people lately. People don't understand. When we talk about, hey, we're averaging 500-600 wallets every day. Those are real people. They need to be fucking educated. And then when there's a dip and there's panic and then there's FUD, and unfortunately, we didn't get to them yet. They haven't watched our stream. They haven't been educated yet. You know, they only heard about, oh, HEX is good, price goes up, it's cool community, that's great. But they haven't got the chance to do the research. And then the price start to dip, and because they forget to stake, now they're in panic mode. All those who are staked, now they're emergency end stake because the fear is greater. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And just think about, like, what's the shortest a curriculum or a class lasts? It's like 6 months.
Exactly.
So,
bare minimum.
You keep talking. It's a great. You need to be educated, and the reason I bring that up is, like, take a minimum of half a year to actually give yourself to understand everything at its core. I've only been making YouTube videos on HEX for a little over 6 months, like 6 months and a couple weeks. So you could say the first semester just really ended, and if you're just getting here, like in the last few months, again, just give it like 6 months. Because within 6 months, you'll probably go through.
You will double your money. Clip this. Said Kareem said it. Within 6 months, you will double your money. I can almost mathematically guarantee it because that's what the chart has been doing.
Right.
Even with this dip included, doesn't matter. Because if you understand the system, if you understand the long term, even if you're new, but you understand the big picture of what a blockchain CD is and what the main premise are,
right,
that should give you enough confidence to A, make your stakes, B, allow yourself to have enough time to do the research, because staking free your time. And then when you got free time, it's not just to hang around and kumbaya. It's actually for you to do the research, watch the video, subscribe to our channels, so we can provide you the facts, not the opium. We tell you how the system works, what the market is doing, so that even if we're not around, you can do the analysis yourself because you got all the tools. Make sense?
Yeah. And there's a ton of HEX streamers out there to keep you, calm and just doing what this super chat says, which is stake, repeat, priced it, buy, stake, repeat. Appreciate the super chat. But definitely.
And then we'll add for fun, collect your interests and go live your best life.
There you go. Very important. I'd argue that's even more important, man. It's like, there you go. Because at the end of the day, all this, Richard says it best, right? It's just accounting at the end of the day for goods and services. And I'd argue for goods, services and experiences. Throw a third one in there, because that probably matters more. Just going out and, like you said, living your best life. Maybe you have the free time to go work out because you're not working the same amount of hours because HEX provided that extra cushion. Or maybe you have more time to spend with your family or your friends or whatever that is, or just
because there's nothing more powerful than make money while you sleep. Make money passively so you don't feel like you're a slave. You don't feel like you're just caught up in this rat race. Number one beauty thing that you did was you understood the Ponzi scheme bullshit about inflation and money printing. That's the first thing. You got into crypto. Like Wells will say, the political statement to some degree. That's the first biggest thing you did for yourself. You understood how this rig system worked. It's like, for example, being in Venezuela, just it's an extreme example, but I won't be able to get it. It's like being in Venezuela, trying to be successful, working hard, creating businesses, all this other stuff, but not understanding that you're getting paid in the boulevard and that should devaluate life at the speed of light. You know what I mean? And you will never be able to win because you haven't fixed the first problem. The currency is garbage. It's not sound money. You're always losing, even when you feel like you're winning. Because the highest stock market in the world right now, last year, was actually Venezuela Boulevard. But because of the money printing so savage, it's worthless paper. Make sense?
Yeah. Hyperinflation is real and it's a problem.
Exactly. So that's number one. And then number two, once you realize that you're monetizing time, which is the fairest thing that can happen, because it doesn't matter, big wallet, small wallet, middle wallet, black, white, doesn't matter. Time is fair for everybody.
It's the great equalizer.
Once you understand that, and you know that you can monetize that, and it pays you on time, the money printers, every day, clockwork, it's code, doesn't need nobody's permission. You're going to get exactly what the system says it's going to give you in HEX term. It's a no-brainer. Once you understand that, you get the peace of mind to not be swayed by the price. So when things like this happen, you're like, oh, wow, I can buy more money printer for cheap.
From a fundamental perspective, it does kind of, you could say it solves a lot of the issues that the dollar has as a currency, even though it wasn't designed to be a better currency. It does, like we like to say, it does that by accident, because it makes you the three key entities. It makes you the Fed because you're receiving the inflation. It makes you and minting it yourself. It makes you the bank, right? Because you hold your own keys. And then it also makes you the user. So you are all three entities within the vertical that is finance.
Yes.
So it makes you just in control of your finance at the end of the day. And it's such a
and
powerful
that is the
thing
key.
that few people
Those
talk
are
about,
three key entities.
Right? Like think about how many people HEX get their keys into their own hands. I kind of worded that funny, but you understand what I'm saying, right? People who wouldn't have otherwise held their own keys in their own hands, they might have otherwise held a custodial wallet or something that just goes against crypto, right? Just antithesis to crypto. It not only that, it just, it's such a clever design and it's genius. But you were touching on those three entities a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, those three entities are so key because those are the fundamental, literally, of building wealth. Because how can you build wealth if it's not really yours? If you don't really have control, it's like ownership, right? If you're not really the owner, you're just kind of renting it, so to speak. Is it really yours? Think about it, right?
It's not. No.
You have this illusion, right? None of the joke they fucking tell you at the central bank, like, hey, you will own nothing and you'll be happy, right? Like, no, what? There's stuff that are not always worth owning, right? I'm the first proponent to say, hey, I love being a digital nomad. I might not need, like Elon Musk, I might not need to buy a house. I'll just, rent and then travel, whatever. But when we're talking about sound money, when you live on an economical planet, right? When you can't do anything without it, without money, no, that's something you need to own. Money printers, you need to own them because that's your cash flow. Don't worry about where you're going to live. Don't worry about where you're going to eat. Worried about owning the cash flow. Once you own the cash flow, everything else, you never have to worry about. You'll always have enough money to eat. You'll always have enough money to find shelter, sleep somewhere, travel, whatever it might be. Again, it's about having your priorities straight.
Right. No, that's a great point. And it makes me think of the whole theme of Maddie's streams, which is like you see people who gain sudden wealth in their lives, and then within a year or two, they're back to ground zero or worse.
Yep.
Right.
Sad.
Because they started elevating a lifestyle that wasn't sustainable because they didn't understand that principle of cash flow, which is more important. It's basic accounting, right? It's what's
Yep.
coming in versus what's coming out, projecting that over time. And unless you have that figured out, then you probably shouldn't be spending these huge amounts like cash on things.
Exactly. Because you cannot, listen, you can't kill the golden goose, okay?
Right.
Or another
Precisely.
analogy, right? That is literally the cash flow generator. It's the money printer.
Precisely.
How you gonna mess with that? You mess with that, how you gonna generate anything else? You break the printer, how you gonna print more? Right? Money grows on trees, but if you cut the tree, then where are you gonna grow the money, right? So
Right.
all those things is what separates the average person from the rich, but then also because there's levels to this, it also separates the rich from the wealthy because it's not the same. Wealthy people got so much money, they never need to worry about selling anything. They have so much more. It's just they only deploy the money when there's an emergency. And that's very, very important. Another good analogy is that poor people spend the money and then they invest the rest. While the wealthy people invest first, invest all the money that needs to be invested no matter what, and then they spend the rest if there is rest left. And when they do this at a compounding rate long enough, it gets to a point where it's almost sound like they're cheating, right? Like it's like a cheat code. Oh my God, you're so lucky. No, bitch, I'm not lucky. I've been building this for so many years, and now the compounding effect is kicking in. And now they're having so much cash flow. I don't even call it money. They have so much cash flow that they don't know what to do with themselves. You understand? That even if they wanted to spend it, there is not enough time in the world to spend it. There's not enough reason in the world to spend it unless you just want to throw it away. Make sense? But that's a function. That's a feature, not a bug. That's a function of building wealth. You build so much of it at a compounding rate in this biggest transfer of wealth that we're in this industry right now, that the rest is like taking care of your generations, next generations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And that is the takeaway people miss. So I would say the poor people are people that trade and don't understand long-term value. They live just for the next day and then they get burned. The rich people are the people that, hey, I got a quick 5x, 10x, whatever, I stake short. That's cool. Hey, you got rich. But are you wealthy though? You get what I'm saying? That's what you were talking about. You may have a couple of nice years. You're probably flying in a jet. Maybe you never been. I get it. Everything's cool. But is that something that's duplicatable? Is that something that's sustainable? If I were to look at you, I'd be like, yo, bro, 10 years from now, where are you going to be? 15 years from now, are you going to be in the golden yacht with me and my Mexican friends? Or are you just going to be like, you know, a souvenir? You feel me?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a wandering generation or you want to be a meaningful specific? The choice is yours. That's what we're fighting for. That's why we do what we do. Because we're building to last. We don't want to do the get rich quick scheme. We want to do the get wealthy, the get rich for sure, long term. Because then we can afford anything we want. Because we delay the gratification. Because as a matter of fact, even if the price were to go to gazillion dollars right now, like, I don't need the money. You get what I'm saying? So nothing changes.
Right.
Because wealthy people deploy the money only when they need it.
Okay, you said something that interested me. You said they only deploy it if there's an emergency, and I want to know, is that subjective? What constitutes an emergency? Is an 80% hex dip an emergency for you to liquidate all your assets, or like?
No, that is not an emergency because remember that's a great question. The asset doing what it's doing, that is not an emergency. Emergency example is like, okay, family emergency, death in the family, this, that, lawsuit, whatever. Like it's called kind of like forced liquidation. Make sense? It's like you have no other option but to sell. This is what wealthy people do. This is why wealthy people also, they say if their kids or offspring, whatever, are irresponsible, what do? They shut down their credit card. They shut down all the other stuff. They don't let them manage the money. They hire a manager. right? They put money in the will. They put money in the trust. And they say, hey, this thing is going to do what it's going to do. And this is your allowance. Mind you, the allowance could be millions of dollars. But this is your allowance. But you can't fucking touch the money printer. Because the money printer is not just here for you. It's here for the family fucking legacy.
No,
Because you're
for
just
sure.
one person in the family.
For
Like
sure,
at
man.
my level, all the real wealthy people, it's about the name, the family name. They care about the offspring, but they care about 5, 10 generation down the road that we're still gonna be here. We got names on buildings. You understand? We're trying to live
Yeah.
forever in a way. That's
I like
what
it.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about. So emergency when there's a life or death situation type, or you're being sued and you're forced to liquidate. But if it's just market behavior,
Got it.
no, you don't care because the wealthy people don't need the money because they already live in abundance and excess.
Yeah.
If anything, they're worried about what's the word? Gary uses it all the time, which I like. They're worried about fuck, hold on, brain freeze. Yeah, dormant capital. Sorry about that. They're
Yeah,
worried
yeah.
about, I'm worried about dormant capital. That's why I hate
Honestly,
having liquid
same,
HEX. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate
Same,
it.
bro.
I keep what I need, emergency, and the rest is just like, that's why Maddie was so shocked. I got like, I mean, in retrospect to my wealth, it's like point. It's like a rounding error. But that's all I need because I generate excess every month. Price do what he wants to do. It doesn't matter. I'm going to
Okay.
buy like clockwork every paycheck, period, full stop, end of story. You want to give me cheap HEX? I said, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I accelerate my money printer. That's it. You want an emergency end state? I said, thank you very much. Thanks for the free money. That's it.
You've touched on a few points that I want to highlight because they're obvious to some people like you and me, but not often to everyone. And that is having cash flow independent of your investments.
Yes.
So
I still work. Ha ha ha.
Right,
Even though technically people will say I shouldn't, but listen, I love being productive. So
yeah, not only that, right? It's a win-win because not only are you producing cash flow to like you do, average in and buy
I can buy any dips.
Say like a monthly basis, or if you do it more dynamically, more strategic, and only buy dips, then more power to you. However way you do it, right? But having that cash flow is super important and leads to the longevity of having generational wealth that you like to speak of, which is huge. Because you don't go through that whole, again, this is delving into Maddie's territory, so go check out his streams on this, but you're delving into that sudden wealth syndrome where you're just gonna just blow it all and be a souvenir, like you said, at the end of the day instead of chilling on the golden yacht. But yeah, you touched on that cash flow, which is huge. So you become not a net seller of crypto and you're still providing value to the real world because that's arguably even more important. You have really smart people. Like I know a lot of people in the HEX community don't really like Elon Musk, but I would argue he's a smart guy in a lot of areas. And he, why did I bring him up? There's a reason I brought him up, but I got distracted for a second.
No, go ahead.
Okay, can we rewind? Can you remind me what the general thought pattern was?
Which one? Sorry.
No, I kind of got lost. I go on these tangents and like try to wrap back around to a point, and then I forget the original point, and I'm like, wait, where am I again?
No worries. It will come to you.
Yeah, brain fart.
Yeah, no, but the main thing is, again, this is another reason why I tell people all the time, one of my favorite thing is, repetition. Because a lot of the time we'll be saying all those very powerful concepts, and I don't expect people to get it right off the bat. But I expect them to actually, number one, be curious about it and then use repetition to the point where it's gonna click. And once it click, it will forever change their life. You know what I mean? It's like opening Pandora's box. Once you open it and once you get it, it's like a life learning skill. And like, I feel like my work is done. I just need to get out of the way and then let you just do you. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. I just remembered what I was talking about. So Swearworks, thanks for the comment. They said being useful in the world. And so what Elon Musk said was he thinks there are too many smart guys in finance, which is at the end of the day just accounting. and less people actually doing productive, cool stuff. And that kind of spoke to me, just because like all is well in Hex world, but then you realize, like, zoom out a little bit. And I like to always play devil's advocate with even myself, just constantly questioning, like, is finance the place to kind of like spend your time in? At the end of the day, I think it is a net positive, because that's kind of the kind of attraction people look for. And then you can lead them into better things, kind of like Richard's process and his methodologies for getting people into wholesome things.
Yes.
But yeah, it is like, okay, being productive in the world is
it's one of the most important things, because remember, it does something for your psyche too. Okay, and this is important for people. Like, I'm sorry, I'm driving because I'm going to a meeting right now. It does something that's very important too. And then for those of you who love to work out, you're gonna understand this analogy is very important, because it's literally like working out. Imagine being in great shape, in the best shape of your life. You know, I love working out, but also, you know, I like to look good and I like to feel good because I like to dance and all that kind of stuff. But the people that work out that already look good, that, let's be real, if they didn't work out for like another 6 months or a year, they'll still be good, because they have so much build up equity, you know what I mean? Momentum. That it would take so much like a fuck up or a bad diet to really make them lose the way they look. You get what I'm saying? But does that mean they stop working out? No, because it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes part of who they are, their identity. It's a feel good. It's like whatever they walk, whatever they talk, it's like a confidence level. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course, dude.
That's what I'm always doing work. I'm always being productive. I always want to help people because I have a big heart, because that makes me alive. I feel like every day I got to do something productive, or I feel like it's a wasted fucking 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I love monetizing time and not having dormant capital. It's the same thing with productivity. Productivity is another way of not having dormant capital. When you waste 24 hours, you didn't do anything fucking productive, you wasted dormant capital, because you will never get that 24 hour back. You get what I'm saying?
Look, dormant capital it could be money, it could be time. And what you're pointing out right now, it's funny because I literally have to go work out right now. So I have to hop off the stream. But it's I think as a man too, it's important to constantly want to climb a mountain and just be leveling up and dominating the next thing, and just leaving that legacy over time and kind of immortalize yourself that way. But I think that's a way to end the stream. Thank you for coming, bro. Perfect. And drive safe. I know you're in a Tesla, so maybe hit the auto feature.
Wait. You want to hear it real quick? Rev it up or do your thing. Boom, boom. I don't know if you heard it. I just turned it on. Yes, I'll do no video. Hey, you follow me on Instagram, so you know what time it is. But yeah, no, absolutely. Enjoy the workout. Thanks for the invite. Let's do this often. But yeah, everybody watching, understand, this is your opportunity. Do not squander it, because with HEX, the dips comes quick and they also go quick. It's a window. You snooze, you lose. I'm sure you guys heard of that before.
Definitely. Yeah, man. All right, go do your thing. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and excited for your announcement that you brought up earlier. That'll be exciting. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
See you tomorrow, Quan Gang.
Bro. All right, peace.
Peace.